Part 97. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 969. Copy time, 1545. Time passed bit by bit, and before my eyes, there were only more than 2 hours left. However, out of the current 7 mutated mice, only 6 have been found. Among them, 3 have been killed and 4 have not been killed. Sutinyu stayed in the broadcast room. Now, all the players on campus, as long as they are capable, are mobilized to find the mutated white mice. Sutinyu, on the other hand, integrates information from all parties and then spreads it through broadcasts, so that everyone can get first-hand information as soon as possible. However, Sutinyu couldn't sit still now. Miss Su, the 4th white mouse has been killed. The man with glasses hurried in and reported the new news. When Sutinyu heard it, his face lit up with joy, and then he used the radio to announce the news. In this way, you can also improve the player's fighting spirit. Now, there are only 3 mice left. Sutinyu thought about it and decided to go find it himself. In the broadcast room, the 3 men with glasses were put in charge. I'm also going out to look for mutated mice. Here in the radio room, you guys will take care of it first. If anything happens, use the radio to notify us. Okay, no problem. How to find it? This is a problem. Sutinyu thought for a moment, and suddenly thought of a good idea. Now that most of the players have been activated, they have only killed 4 mice. What does this mean? It shows that the power of the people she mobilized is not strong enough. That's not big enough. What should I do? Naturally, we need to mobilize more people. Therefore, Sutinyu was very skillful in finding those campus Apiao. Big brother, what do you want from us? The campus Apiao were about to cry, but they did not dare to offend Sutinyu, so they could only ask cautiously. Oh, that's right. Sutinyu began to explain his purpose. I'm here to ask you to do a small, insignificant, and easy favor. Please tell me. The campus adults greeted us with smiles. They didn't like Sutinyu's tricks, but they couldn't refuse. They could only secretly pray that it wouldn't be a little favor that was too difficult. This favor is very simple. I just want you to help me find a white mouse. Moreover, it is a relatively large and very ferocious kind. Okay, no problem, we will help you find it right away. However, time. Sutinyu said with a smile. I believe you, 1 hour should be enough, right? Hearing this, Campus Apiao's expression froze. This is not an inquiry at all, but a naked threat. Threatening them to finish the matter within an hour. Damn it! But there was no other way. The campus Apiaos had already seen Sutinyu's methods, and now they could only agree with tears in their eyes. As a result, the already lively campus became even more lively. Naturally, the simultaneous actions of so many campus Apiao cannot be hidden from other players. At first, other players were also worried. Has another hidden mission been triggered, and those campus ants are here to prevent them from completing the exam? But gradually, they discovered that these campus Apiao were ignoring them one by one, and seemed to be looking for something. There was no hostility toward the players. What's going on? The actions of the Apiaos are a bit abnormal. Brother, are they also looking for that mutated white mouse? According to the analysis of the plot content, these campus floats have enmity with those mutated animals. Isn't the enemy of the enemy a friend? Some players seem to have touched it. The truth. Don't be stupid, they are all a bunch of people, it's not easy to communicate with them. Although they are not attacking us now, we can't let down our guard. Have you forgotten how they messed up the first few exams? Most of the players are very wary of these campus Apiao, which was originally a very chaotic scene. Because no player would be so panic-stricken as to take the initiative to attack those campus Apiaos. In this way, the two parties formed a strange peace, each looking for the mutated white mouse. In the lounge, the invigilators are collecting real-time data of the exam. There are already many examination rooms that have revealed hidden plots. There are several players in the examination room whose mission is about to fail. An invigilator stretched out his arm. They failed, then I can leave work early. Okay, stop showing off anyway, it's just these few hours. By then, we will all be able to take a break from get off work. The invigilators chatted with each other, and their tone was relatively relaxed. I didn't take this exam seriously. No matter how hard these players try, they can't make any mistakes, right? Dungeon World, 1630. Through Opiao on campus, Sotinho found the fifth mutated white mouse. After finding the mutated white mouse, Sotinho didn't hesitate and took out the meteor stick. After a few sticks, the white mouse turned into minced meat. Dead as hell. After it was done, Sotinho was about to leave when Lucifer's voice appeared in his mind. Wait a moment. Sotinho paused and asked, what's the matter? It seems to have that wave of energy on its body. Sotinho's eyes were surprised. Energy fluctuations. You mean, this little white mouse? Lucifer flew out by himself, waved his little wings, circled around the body of the white mouse a few times, and then nodded towards Sotinho. Yes, just now, I felt the energy fluctuation. What about now? Disappeared. Sotinho frowned. What's going on? Let's find another one. This little white mouse should be the carrier of energy. When it dies, the energy dissipates without the carrier. Lucifer flew back to Sotinho's palm. Sotinho asked, if we find another one, can you feel this energy fluctuation now? I'll give it a try. Lucifer's face was serious. After a few seconds of trance, he nodded, okay, now that I know the carrier, it will be easier to find it. Sotinho gently stretched out his finger and tapped Lucifer's little wings. Okay, look for it quickly. There is one, over here, not moving for the moment. Lucifer stretched out his hand and pointed to Sotinho's right. Okay. Let's go take a look. Sotinho followed the direction Lucifer pointed and used his flying ability to fly over immediately. In the basement of a dining hall, a white mouse with white hair all over and as strong as a large dog was eating bits and pieces of food scraps on the ground. From time to time, it made a squeaking sound from its mouth. Suddenly, the mutated white mouse stopped eating and stared in the direction of the door, assuming a fighting posture. As expected, a girl stepped into the door and looked at the fat mutant rat. Instead of screaming in fear, she looked excited. Sotinho lowered his head and looked at Lucifer in the palm of his hand. Lucifer, feel carefully whether there are any energy fluctuations in the white mouse. Yes. Lucifer stared at the mutated mouse for a few seconds, and then gave the answer. Sotinho continued to ask, how to remove the energy? The white mouse just died, and its energy dissipated directly. You can try killing it with the death blade. If you kill it with the death blade, you should be able to contact it before the energy dissipates, and maybe you can digest some of the energy, Lucifer suggested. Well. Sotinho took out the death blade. As soon as the death blade came out, the intimidating power of being a pseudo-artifact directly shocked the mutated white mouse. Originally, the mutated white mouse was still showing its teeth and grinning very arrogantly, but now it was crawling on the spot, trembling. Using the death blade to deal with mutant mice is simply killing a chicken with a knife. Sotinho stabbed the death blade into the belly of the mutated white mouse very neatly. After the mutant mouse screamed for a few seconds, it completely lost all signs of life. Sotinho pulled out the death blade and quickly opened the panel. Item, death blade, bound. Level, false god level, 6.002/8. Basic function, the other side of the road to the underworld opens, and the night falls. Death comes. This is a death blade from the abyss of hell. It can harvest souls, Summon the undead and control the undead. It can be immune to soul and mental attacks. Its attributes at night are enhanced by 350%, attributes weakened by 5% during the day, contracted. Spirit of Contract, Fallen Angel Lucifer. The power of the Spirit. 1. Fight with blood. 2. Destroy the ancients. 3. Possession by the Spirit, temporarily unavailable. Durability, 99.999%. Remarks, don't make trouble, the god of death is coming, be careful to chop you. Sotingu's eyes lit up. The progress bar behind the level has really gone up a bit. Although it's just a little bit, it also shows that the energy in the mutant mouse can be absorbed. It seems that it can only absorb so much, and a lot of energy has been dissipated. Lucifer also saw the panel data and was not very satisfied with the increase. Sotingu chuckled, absorb as much as you can. Anyway, aren't there many mutated animals here? Lucifer, is this energy only carried by mutant mice, or do all mutant animals have it? Lucifer couldn't be sure and shook his head. Maybe it's because the energy of other mutated animals is too little. I haven't sensed it yet. However, you can give it a try. Then the last mutant mouse, have you sensed where it is? Now, only the last one is left. Well, it's been moving. If you run too far, you may not be able to sense it. You can still roughly determine the location. Do you want to go now? Lucifer blinked his beautiful golden eyes. Go. Of course I want to go. After Lucifer gave the direction, Sotingu immediately left the dining hall. Knowing that these mutated animals were likely to carry energy, Sotingu became very motivated. The last mutant mouse was very cunning, and would move to its hidden location every once in a while. Several times, Lucifer couldn't sense it. When the mutated white mice could not be sensed, Sotingu used the death blade to clean up the mutated animals while continuing to look for the mutated white mice. After wiping out dozens of mutated animals at once, Sotingu opened the death blade's data panel and could see a slight increase. Sure enough, these ordinary mutant animals also carry energy. It's just that it's too small. But it does exist anyway. Sotingu took another look at the number of infections displayed on the panel. It had reached a terrifying 700,000. However, in Sotingu's eyes, this is all energy that can be obtained for free. Among the 700,000 infected players, there are also many infected players. The infected players are infected 3 times, or even 4 or 5 times, and the energy they carry will be even rarer. Therefore, Sotingu focused all his attention on the original mutated animals. Like cutting leaks, corpses litter the field wherever he passes. After the mutated white mouse escaped 5 times in a row, he was finally caught. Sotingu didn't hesitate, he killed it with the death blade, and then absorbed the energy of the mutated white mouse that had not had time to dissipate. At the same time, Sotingu's panel popped up. Congratulations to the players by Aufifan, Old Camel, Sorrowful and Angel Su for completing the hidden mission. After the instance is over, you will receive additional rewards. This time, the hidden plot was completed, but nothing happened again. However, the task of hiding the plot is completed, but there is still a comprehensive science exam. Now, there are still 40 minutes until the end of the exam. In addition, the number of infections must be controlled. Although players have always eliminated mutant animals, the mutant animals themselves are growing too fast, resulting in an unabated phenomenon. Now, the number of infections has reached a terrifying 800,000, and it will continue like this. The horror was that before the test time of the competition ended, the number of infections had already exceeded 1 million. Killing mutated animals one by one like this is too inefficient, so we must find a way. The Campus Apio cannot directly cause harm to the mutated animal gang, so this great help is simply gone. Sotingu returned to the broadcast room and informed the players that all 7 mutant mice had been eliminated. Miss Su, we are very lucky. There is no additional difficulty in the hidden plot this time. The 7-star reward has been doubled. The 3 men with glasses who stayed behind in the broadcast room also expressed their joy after seeing Sutingyu. The 3 of them also received notification that the hidden plot was completed. However, the number of infections is still a problem. Sutingyu had been happy just now, and now he was only thinking about how to complete the exam. Miss Su, several people just sent notices saying that they have a way to eliminate a large number of mutated animals at once. Unexpectedly, the man with glasses kept throwing out good news. Really? Sutingyu blinked his big eyes. But the next second, Sutingyu felt that he was not surprised again. There are so many players, and she is not the only one with strength. Just because Sutingyu couldn't think of a way, it didn't mean that no player could break the game. It may be that those players started to use their methods. In the last 40 minutes, the surge in the number of infections suddenly stuck. It even dropped to 700,000 at one time. Sutingyu watched the rising and falling numbers of infections and went out to kill mutated animals. Kill as many as you can. Finally, with the cooperation of all players, at the end of the exam time, the number of infections was. Number of infections, 895,460. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuan-K. Chapter 970. Congratulations to all players for successfully passing the global school start. All players will be sent out a copy in 10 seconds. When the players saw the panel pop up and saw the content clearly, they all breathed a sigh of relief. Finally. It's time to leave this round of copies. Oh, okay. 10 seconds later, after all the surviving players were teleported out of the dungeon, the entire dungeon suddenly became quiet. The fragmented corpses and the blood sprayed everywhere, all prove that something happened here. After a while, figures appeared in the air. Those figures have different shapes, but the one thing they have in common is a human body with an irregular head. When they appeared, the entire copy seemed to have been pressed on the pause button. Finally, those players are gone. Come on, the results are out now. Guess how many players in this round of dungeons successfully passed the level? There's nothing to guess. Let's make statistics quickly. The invigilators were very relaxed and happy, chatting casually with each other. Let's see, There are quite a lot of people who have passed the level. There are so many new players participating in the 7-star dungeon for the first time. Is it possible that all of them are so lucky? The invigilator responsible for checking the number of people was surprised. There were originally more than 4 billion players. Now, there are still more than half of the players who have successfully passed the level. But according to the results predicted by the invigilator, at most only 1/10 is left. When this result came out, other invigilators were also surprised. Which world are these players from? I really want to know. There's still half of it, it's boring. Okay, let's start repairing the copy. We have to go to the next examination center. Just when the invigilators were concentrating on processing the data, suddenly. Holy shit! One of the proctors let out a high-pitched voice of shock. What happened? What a shame! What a shame! The invigilator came to his senses and quickly explained, no. The key props in this sub-examination venue have been missing. What? The key props are missing. When the other proctors heard this, their expressions changed slightly. A copy of this theatrical version, no matter how many times it is damaged, can be repaired quickly and perfectly as long as it is within the repair range of the copy. However, there is a premise, that is, the key props in the copy cannot be damaged or lost. Once an accident occurs, it is very difficult to repair the copy normally. Wait a minute, I have a small copy of the scene here, and it shows that it is missing. I'm here too, what's going on? Slowly, new problems emerged. By the way, during the dungeon assessment, 2 players were weird. They actually wanted to conquer the dungeon NPC directly. You're just talking about such a big thing now. How much did they charge? Probably 3 digits. 3 digits, placed in the entire dungeon examination room, feel insignificant. Now, first eliminate those problematic sub-examination rooms, and then integrate other examination rooms. There can be no accidents in the next copy assessment. At this moment, although the invigilators were depressed or confused, they did not take the various accidents of this copy assessment to heart. Just do what you have to do. The main mission is completed, the copy has been cleared, and the rewards are being settled. Earn 16,000 experience points, 32,000 game coins, add 4 free attribute points and 40 lottery chances, double times 2. Props obtained, 2 school dormitories, already merged, a thread. Unlock hidden plot, 1, complete hidden plot, 1, gain experience value 24000, game currency 80000, lottery chance 8, special item 4, double times 2. The proficiency level of the junior title Ghost Sees Sorrow has reached full level and is now upgraded to the intermediate level Ghost Lives Nightmare. Settlement completed. Ah! I'm back. Sutinyu felt heartache when she thought that there were 900,000 mutated animals in the copy. Wow, 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 those are all wasted energy, it's just gone. Once. There are hundreds of thousands of mutated animals in front of me. I couldn't grasp it well and let it slip quietly through the cracks of my fingertips. But now, I regretted it so much, cried bitterly, and was helpless. What are you thinking about? Lucifer's voice interrupted Sutinyu's dramatic inner drama. It's nothing, nothing. Sutinyu came back to her senses and quickly denied it. The reward this time is pretty good. It was also thanks to the hidden plot that the reward was doubled, and coupled with the double reward given by the invigilator, it was doubled again. Originally, Sutinyu had very few game coins left, but suddenly he made a lot of money. When the official returns his game currency, and the transactions made in the copy are also recovered, the little fairy's wallet will become round again. The transaction accounts have been recorded in the panel system in advance, and the panel system has now automatically helped Sutinyu collect debts. In the message column, little red dots would appear from time to time, indicating that Sutinyu had successfully recovered one account after another. There was another title Halo upgrade. Sutinyu poked at it and took a look. Title, Ghostly Nightmare. Level, Intermediate. Function, Monster Fear Value add 40%, Range Aura * 6 meters, Evil spirits are not easy to enter the body. Note, things that are not human are afraid of you, please be a human being. This round of copies is still very good. Sutinyu summarized the gains from this round of copies. First, it must be the energy needed by the Death Blade. Secondly, with the integration and upgrade of the Angel Stone Monument, my own legion has begun to take shape, and I even got a thread leading prop for free. Third, of course, there are dungeon rewards, title aura upgrades, and a lot more accounts. However, in this round of dungeons, a new role has appeared, the Invigilator. In the dungeon, Sutinyu could feel that the proctor seemed to be independent of the dungeon and not an NPC in the dungeon. Although the Invigilator did not express it directly, from beginning to end, he did not hide his incompatibility with the copy. Sutinyu looked at his quadruple copy reward and fell into deep thought for a moment. The proctor actually has such great authority and can give players props and rewards. This was something Sutinyu had never encountered before. No. The group of mysterious people I met at the end of the copy of Light and Darkness were also very weird. Could it be that they are the behind-the-scenes controllers of the usual paradise? But why? After all the effort, he played such a big game, involving so many worlds and so many people. Sutinyu had just left the settlement space, but before he could stand firmly on his feet, he suddenly felt the ground shaking. Everything in the room shook, and even Sutingyu, who didn't react, almost fell to the ground. Fortunately, Sutingyu quickly held onto the wall beside him to stabilize his body slightly. But the wall seemed to be shaking. What exactly is going on? Was there an earthquake? Sutingyu was a little confused. However, the Great Ice Age is coming, maybe other natural disasters will break out across the entire blue star? The tremors, which seemed like an earthquake, lasted less than a minute and then stopped. After the trembling ended, Qin-Chi came over immediately. Sutingyu quickly asked, "Kikai, is there an earthquake outside?" Qin-Chi shook his head, "No, it was the triangular spire in the sky that fell." Sutingyu, "No, it's so good. Why did the triangular pyramid fall down?" Sutingyu thought back to the triangular pyramid. If such a big thing fell down, it would indeed cause the earth to shake. Qin-Chi, we can only know after the operators sent by the base find out. Sutingyu stretched out her little finger and pointed outside the door, then let's go out and wait for the news. We can't sit still in the room. Sutingyu went directly to find Jipuyu. At this time, Siepuyu was responsible for counting the number of personnel in the base, and his expression did not become relaxed because the dungeon had just been released. The base's personnel were reduced. Excluding those who were sent on missions, where did the missing personnel go? The answer is obvious. Their dungeon failed to clear the level and was thrown into the punishment dungeon. Their life and death are still unknown. Will probably come back. It's also possible that he won't come back. You came just in time. You have nothing to do now. Go do a small thing. Siepuyu waved immediately when she saw the person. Sutingyu blinked, what's going on? Siepuyu, the reply message from the personnel who went out said that they have brought back a group of citizens. They are expected to arrive in an hour. You can go and respond to them on behalf of the base. What needs to be done? You don't have to do anything. Just show your face. If there is any problem, just deal with it directly. Siepuyu said it very simply. It was really just a small favor. Specific reception work is handled by other relevant personnel. However, the leader who was originally responsible for the reception has now disappeared. Due to manpower shortage, Siepuyu could only temporarily ask Sutingyu to support the scene. Oh, by the way, the batch of game coins you lent to me should be returned to you within today. Please check it carefully. Okay, then you can send me a copy of the reception information. Siepuyu warned, pay attention to the time, and also meet us at gate number 3 of the base. After leaving Siepuyu's workplace, Sutingyu and the others rushed to gate number 3. On the way, Sutingyu thought of the props gifted by the invigilator. Kikai, have you received the props? Qin-Chi nodded, yes, I received it, but the prop needs to be bound by 2 people before it can be used. Then when everything is fine, we will bind them later. With about an hour left, Sutingyu arrived near gate 3 and waited quietly. However, it's quite boring to just keep waiting. So, Sutingyu opened the panel, and first used the thread-pulling prop to bind it to Qin-Chi's thread-pulling prop. Later, when Sutingyu was about to take a look at the forum, an announcement popped up on the panel. Congratulations to all players for passing the first public beta assessment and becoming an official and glorious public beta player. Dear public beta players, please note that in order to support the normal development of the public beta work, Parallel Park will make the following minor adjustments. Every 7-10 days, public beta players must enter a round of dungeon. If the time limit is exceeded, they will be forced to participate by the panel system. If the dungeon is successfully cleared, the reward will be halved. If the dungeon fails, the penalty will be doubled. During the rest period, every other day, public beta players must enter the Black Tower for practice. There is no time limit. Friendly reminder, please use the Black Tower reasonably, you will have unexpected gains. Human beings who do not have the ability to think independently and judge will not be included in the ranks of public beta players for the time being, such as children under 8 years old. Sutinyu looked at it carefully and then opened the forum. As soon as the announcement came out, Sutinyu didn't even have to think about it. The forum must have exploded again. Black Tower, practice, is this asking us to go out and find the Black Tower? Who dares to go out in this situation now? Holy shit, an assessment copy, half of the players were gone. Won't Blue Star only have more than 2 billion humans left now, right? This is too scary, billions of human beings have simply evaporated. Game props and abilities can be used directly in the real world, super cool. Me too, I also tried it. There was a power outage and no fire at home. Fortunately, I can use props to make a fire myself. My home is in times. Dear brothers and sisters, please give me a small favor. After an hour, the closed door number 3 was opened. Sutinyu perked up, stretched his neck, and looked towards the door. When the door opened, the receptionist took a few steps closer. After the door was fully opened, I saw many people outside, all wearing bulky winter coats. And the clothes were covered with a layer of snow. Welcome all compatriots to the base. Please line up first, abide by the order of the base, and obey the arrangements. The staff was very talkative. The people who came in secretly breathed a sigh of relief when they saw the copper and iron walls surrounding the base. Some people even started to take off their winter clothes, because there is heating inside the base and it is not very cold. Is there anything to eat? I'm hungry. I'm so hungry too. I can eat anything. These people basically participated in the previous global school opening copy. After going through a round of cleansing, poisoning, ceremony, beating, of the dungeon, the frizziness of an ordinary person has almost been smoothed away. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 971. Sutinyu saw that the order here was quite good. Although it was a bit chaotic, no one was deliberately causing trouble, so he thought about leaving. At this time, Qin-Chi stopped her. Wait a minute, that seems to be the fat man. Fatty, Sutinyu looked in the direction Qin-Chi pointed. In the crowd, there was a gray and round figure, which was constantly squeezing around, trying to find more space for itself, but it was still very difficult to even turn around. It was a bit far away and their faces couldn't be seen clearly, so Sutinyu and the others got closer. When he saw the ball's face clearly, Sutinyu beamed with joy. It's really a fat man. Fat man, Sutinyu immediately trotted over excitedly. And the fat man, who was trying his best to squeeze out of the crowd, felt someone calling him. Hey, this voice sounds like the voice of a boss. The fat man looked around, and then he saw Sutinyu running towards him. Big boss. Fat man, why are you here? Aren't you with Guju and the others? By the way, where is Guju? Where is he? There is also Sister Shanyu, Xiaozu, Chibubi. It's like this. There are a lot of people on the boss's side, and the staff can't bring back so many people at once, so the boss asked me to come over first, Fatty explained. Brother Qin mentioned before that you have settled nearby, so the boss asked me to come over to the base to try my luck to see if I can find you. Unexpectedly, I actually found you. Oh, I see, then you can go in with us first. Then we can chat slowly. Sutinyu felt relieved after knowing that Guju and the others were fine. Okay. Fatty followed Sutinyu subconsciously. But after the three of them walked a certain distance, Fatty suddenly reacted. Wait a minute, boss, why do you two feel so familiar with this base? Oh, I forgot to tell you, we are both system personnel and were assigned here now that we are staying in the base, Sutinyu thought. There is no need to hide the truth from Fatty. The fat man scratched his head. So that's it? By the way, Brother Chin is a retired soldier. I almost forgot. Sutinyu had no intention of clarifying the identity of the two of them, and Fatty had no intention of getting to the bottom of it. Sutinyu had never seen Fatty in the global school opening dungeon, so she wanted to know more about the latter. Hey, by the way, Fatty, have you cleared the global school opening dungeon? Well, I cleared the level. Finally I found a place to hide, the fat man said, a little embarrassed. Almost all the props on Fatty are lit up for defense and escape. They have no attack capabilities and cannot kill mutant animals together. As expected of you, Fatty. It's nothing. I can't beat him, so why can't I hide from him? The fat man smiled naively. When he thought of another thing, his smile faded a bit. By the way, boss, do you know the triangular spire outside? Sutinyu, of course I know. It has fallen down. Fatty, you just came in from outside. Have you touched it? The fat man shook his head. I don't have a chance to get close, and the staff won't let us approach those triangular spires rashly. That's true. The three of them walked and chatted until they arrived at the accommodation area of the base. This is your residence. There are some places that ordinary people are not allowed to enter. You have to be careful. Sutinyu pointed to the door of the room in front of him. If anything happens, you can find the two of us. The room is right next to here. Sutinyu specially found a room for Fatty that only insiders could have, so that they could take care of each other. Inside the room, Sutinyu was telling Fatty about some basic conditions in the base. At this time, a text message was sent to her communicator. Sutinyu clicked to take a look, and then quickly opened the panel. There are many red dots on the message column. Sutinyu clicked in, and then all his game coins came back. The game coins for personal information have become abundant again. Seeing this, Sutinyu was very happy. Woohoo, the game coins have arrived. In the dungeon, on the second day, the old players, who didn't know who came up with the method, actually stored their own food and water, traded with the new players, and made some kind of contract. Something like that. Fatty continued to talk about what he encountered in the dungeon. Sutinyu and the three of them spent most of their time apart in the dungeon, and their respective experiences were also different. Although the dungeon has been cleared, knowing more about the situation may be useful in the future. I also followed the trend and traded some food with some new players. Fat man, what you are talking about is a very business-minded approach. In fact, the sponsors are far away and right in front of you. Sutinyu blinked his big eyes and hinted wildly. Boss, what are you talking about? The fat man was a little confused, but when he saw Sutinyu's pointed expression, he suddenly came to his senses. Is it possible? The fat man's eyes widened. Boss, did you come up with this? Bing dog, yes, it's me. What do you think? Genius. Only I can come up with this kind of win-win method for both new players and experienced players. Sutinyu raised her little head slightly. As expected of a boss, awesome. As the #1 professional in flattering, Fatty immediately skillfully served Sutinyu with a series of rainbow farts. Ahem, keep a low profile, be low-key. After finishing her speech, Sutinyu seemed to be in a dream, and seemed to be very restrained. Fat man, we need to be more low-key in our lives. Just praise us for this kind of thing 10 times. Sutinyu waited for Siepwu to come to him, but he had to wait for 2 days. In the past 2 days, many people have come into the base one after another. Slowly, there are more and more new players in the base who are participating in the dungeon for the first time. For those who have just become players, a newcomer guide is specially distributed to new players, which summarizes the game rules and copy information during the closed beta period, and then serves as a reference for new players. When Siepuyu came to find someone, Sutingyu was watching a TV series with Kikai and Fatty. Dead fish, do you want to go out and take a look at the Black Tower? Yes, of course. When Sutingyu heard this, he immediately became energetic. Oh, as for why I watched the TV series, it's naturally because Fatty is so prescient. Before the public beta, Fatty was afraid that something big would happen later, so he directly recorded all Chinese and foreign movies, TV series, and animations into the memory card to pass the time. Now, plug it directly into your computer and you can play it offline. Siepuyu, hurry up and meet at gate 2 within 10 minutes. No problem. After Siepuyu left, Sutingyu rolled his eyes slightly, gave Qin-Chi a look, and then said to the fat man, "You guys go over first, I'll look for something." The fat man asked doubtfully, "Boss, what are you looking for? Do you want us to help you?" No, Sutingyu quickly declined, "I can do it alone, you go ahead." Qin-Chi said, "Fat man, let's go there first." "Oh, big brother, after you finish looking for things, come over quickly." "Sure." After the two left, Sutingyu immediately released Lucifer. In the presence of the fat man, Lucifer could not come out to watch TV dramas openly, he could only hide in the dark and couldn't even drink a drink. "Then you stay here obediently. If someone knocks on the door, don't make any noise. If someone breaks in, hide from him. Don't expose your whereabouts again, so listen to the fish chattering a lot." Mainly because Lucifer had a criminal record, Sutingyu was really worried. But Lucifer said he didn't want to go out and wanted to take this opportunity to catch up on the show. "I know, please leave me a few bottles of drinks." Lucifer stared at the TV series that continued to play, and stretched out his hand without looking back, obviously asking for a drink. "Okay, then you stay here obediently." Sutingyu made arrangements for Lucifer and then left the room. Sutingyu trotted all the way to gate number 2. "Coming." Siepuyu was counting the number of people when she saw Sutingyu coming and glanced at the ladder. The Black Tower closest to the base is 1,500 meters away. In the past 2 days, some personnel have been sent to check the situation outside the Black Tower. The structural materials of the building are not available to Blue Star. No one has been able to enter the inside of the Black Tower so far. Today, we are going to try to enter the Black Tower. Sutingyu nodded, "Understood. Let's go out and you take your bodyguard with you." "I can understand, but this friend of yours?" Siepuyu looked at the fat man. Although Siepuyu was busy in the past 2 days, he did not pay attention to Sutingyu's movements at all. He was naturally aware of Fatty's existence. "You don't have to worry about that. My friend Oyu Huang is possessed and is very lucky. Besides, I will take care of him." Yes, I won't hold you back," the fat man quickly promised. The fat man's appearance really doesn't look like an old player, but more like a new player. There was no way Sutingyu would lie to him about this kind of thing. "So," Siepuyu relented, "you brought this person here, so you have to be responsible for protecting him." "Certainly." After everyone was gathered, door number 2 of the base slowly opened. From the base to the outside, there is a buffer zone in the middle. The biting cold wind outside has not blown in yet. Sutingyu took another thick coat from the storage ring and put it on herself. Then, follow the team out. Qin-Chi and Fatty were both beside her. When we reached the end of the buffer zone, the number 2 door behind us closed, and then, the small door of the buffer zone slowly opened. Everyone walked out of the small door. As soon as Sutingyu came out, the cold wind outside was like big ice cubes, hitting her face directly, causing pain. At this time, Sutingyu focused more on the environment in front of him. All I could see at a glance was that everything was covered in ice and snow. The high-rise buildings, vegetation, and woods in the past were all covered by ice and snow, like a lifeless and soundless world of ice and snow. And these people seemed to be isolated from the entire world. Sutingyu looked back at the base. The entrance to the base is still there. However, the entire base is hidden underground and cannot be seen now. Everyone, stay in formation and let's go. Pay attention and don't get separated. Siepwiu directed the team and headed towards the black tower in the distance. The environment outside is now very bad, and everyone in the team can only walk on foot. Using the props exchanged from the mall can effectively withstand the heavy wind and snow. When they were within 100 meters of the black tower, the team stopped. Siepwiu first asked people to circle around the black tower, and then began to approach the black tower. This is just a tower. You should be able to go in, right? If you find the right switch, you can open all doors and windows. Siepwiu and others also began to investigate one after another. After waiting for more than 10 minutes, a staff member felt a crack on the wall of the black tower. The crack went straight up and then turned a corner. The staff member moved a little further away and saw what looked like an arched door. So, I reported this discovery to Pwiu. This seemed to be a door, exactly the same as what the previous investigators said, but it was not clear how to open it. Keep looking and find a way to open it. Okay. After knowing the entrance to the black tower, everyone became very motivated. But this time, after searching for several hours, I couldn't find a way to open the arched door. Gradually, everyone's physical strength dropped a lot. In desperation, Siepwiu could only choose to go back to the base first and wait until next time. After 3 days of research, there was no new discovery. The mystery of the Black Tower has only increased, and the forums are overwhelmingly filled with posts about the Black Tower. Everyone is very eager to see what the Black Tower will do this time and what is hidden in the Black Tower. On the 7th day before the end of the global school opening dungeon, the Black Tower, which has always maintained a sense of mystery, finally made some moves. The panels of all Blue Star players pop up uniformly. Hello to all public beta players. In order to provide all public beta players with a better gaming experience, we are now launching a new offline mode, Black Tower Trial. Black Tower Trial, players can pay a certain amount of game currency to enter the Black Tower and conduct a risk-free trial to improve their own strength and better pass the dungeon. For details about the Black Tower Trial operation mode, players are asked to go inside the Black Tower to obtain it. Finally, I wish all players a happy game. Black Tower Trial. Sutingyu carefully considered the content of the announcement on the panel. From this point of view, this is a place for players to improve their strength outside of the dungeon. It's not life-threatening, you just need to pay the game currency before entering the tower. This Black Tower can be used as a buffer zone for new players. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 972. Sutingyu came to the Black Tower again. Also coming with her were Qinchi, Siepwiu, and others, probably dozens of people. When everyone entered within a 10-meter radius of the Black Tower, everyone's panels popped up. Please note. You have entered the scanning range of the Black Tower numbered LX-0868. Do you need to pay 5 game coins to obtain permission to enter the Black Tower within 24 hours? Yes. After everyone paid the game coins, a door slowly opened on the surface of the Black Tower. There is a layer of opaque swirling water ripples at the door, making it impossible to directly see what is going on inside. However, the door is now open and everyone has paid the fee to enter the tower, so they must go in. Siepwiu, everyone cheer up and check if the ropes around your waist are intact. When coming out of the base, everyone was tied with a thick rope to prevent anyone from getting lost in the wind and snow. After the inspection was completed, everyone began to walk into the Black Tower one by one. Welcome player Angel Su to enter the Black Tower. According to the permission level of the world you are in, you are now given permission to use the 1st to 50th floors of the Black Tower. The 1st to 25th floors of the Black Tower are simulation rooms, which can simulate a round of dungeons that players have experienced. The difficulty level of the simulation dungeons can be adjusted arbitrarily by the players. Each player can get a simulation room for free within 24 hours for training opportunities. Starting from the second time, you need to pay the corresponding game currency. The 26th to 50th floors of the Black Tower are the amplification rooms. When players enter it, they can truly convert the personal attributes obtained in the parallel paradise into the strength of the player's body to improve the overall quality of the player's body in all aspects. Each player, within 24 hours, you can use the amplification room up to 3 times. Subsequent levels of the Black Tower are temporarily not open to the public due to insufficient authority. Sutinyu poked at the last paragraph, and then a small box popped up. How to unlock subsequent permissions of the Black Tower. Blue Star local players reach level 10, number of people, 1. Grade 10? So tall. Because Sutinyu received the reward for clearing the global school dungeon, her level has now been raised to level 8. Although there is only a 2-level difference between level 8 and level 10, the experience points required between these 2 levels are getting higher each time. Sutinyu is still far away from level 10, and if he wants to reach level 10, he must at least enter many dungeons, or encounter some special dungeon rewards, which can gain a large amount of experience points at once. Everyone, work in pairs, each responsible for 1 floor, and disperse to check if there is any danger in the Black Tower. Yes. After everyone walked through the first 50 floors of the Black Tower, they found that there was no danger. Everyone also specially tried the simulation room and the amplification room. The simulation room simulates the copy that players have already experienced, whether they have successfully cleared the level or failed it. In the simulation room, one advantage is that the physical pain can be adjusted by the player at will. Even if it is all adjusted to 0, it will be fine. However, the simulation room will automatically determine the physical condition of the players. Once the body is overloaded, they will be forcibly kicked out. When players have used up the free opportunity every day and want to conduct the next simulation training, they need to pay the corresponding game currency. The game coins that need to be paid are charged according to the difficulty level of the simulation. The simpler the difficulty, the fewer game coins will be charged for simulation training. The minimum fee is 20 game coins and the maximum fee is 1000 game coins. If you can successfully pass the simulation training, half of the game coins will be returned. If you fail, all the game coins will not be returned. This is the general situation of the simulation room. More detailed information will have to wait for players' future development and use to know. The other amplification room is centered around the player's personal attribute points. Personal attribute points have always been invisible, affecting the player's success rate in passing the dungeon. Players with high personal attributes will have an easier time clearing the dungeon. However, in the past, personal attribute values can only be reflected in dungeons. Those attribute values that were enhanced due to the game cannot be used in the real world. In the real world, they are still at the original level. But now the emergence of the amplification room is bound to change the status quo. The amplification room can truly transform the attribute points obtained by players into their own strength, so that players can also exert their strength with corresponding attribute values in the real world. What does this mean? This means that as long as the player's attribute value is high enough, in the real world, everyone has the possibility to become an extraordinary person whose qualities in all aspects surpass the level of ordinary people in the past. But this is not absolutely good news. Now, with the advent of the Great Ice Age, the social order is facing collapse. If extraordinary people with greatly increased strength appear now, the world will probably fall into greater chaos. When society and the law are facing collapse, suddenly mastering powerful abilities that cannot match your Xingxing, the desires and dark side of human nature will be infinitely magnified. Sutinyu looked at Xiaoyu and asked, Xiaoyu, how many black towers are there in the world now? Before the open beta started, the calculated number of black towers was 100,000. But now, only some of the black towers have fallen, and the number is probably within 10,000. The number of black towers in our country alone should be within 1,000. Some small countries, maybe not even a black tower. Siepui replied after recalling the data he had seen previously. The fat man on the side, the black tower fell. I don't know whether it is a blessing or a curse. At this time, two people walked down the stairs and came over to report, we have reached the end of the 50th floor. The passage to the 51st floor is closed, and there is no new movement on the panel. You may want to turn on the above floor. What other conditions are required? Can we use this black tower later? After all, this simulation room and amplification room are very useful. The simulation room can help players summarize experiences and lessons and improve their actual combat capabilities. If the amplification room and the physical attribute column alone can be improved, then it can better withstand the cold of the Great Ice Age and various harsh environmental weather. After a thorough investigation of the Black Tower is completed and it is confirmed that there is no danger, it should be opened. Don't worry, Siepui reassured everyone. Everyone who came back was in a somewhat happy mood. After all, they had made a big discovery. But when everyone returned to the base, they found that the base, where everything was originally in order, was filled with noisy quarrels and faint sounds of crying. You are all a bunch of murderers, you are all murderers. Ma'am, please calm down and we can have a nice talk. There's nothing to talk about. You are the minions of that parallel paradise. What you are doing to promote the guide is just to make us accept that game, and then enter the game to die. I tell you, your wishful thinking is wrong. It's impossible to get in even if you die. Sutingyu listened for a long time and understood the basic situation of Uduadu. The people making trouble now seem to be a family, and the main force behind the verbal attacks is an aunt in her decades. Among the staff present, there were two younger staff members who were trying to persuade the aunt and her family. The onlookers, even the security personnel at the base, could not stop their enthusiasm for watching the show and eating melons. Sutingyu saw Siepui and walked over to ask a staff member, what's happening now? Therefore, Sutingyu also picked out an onlooker at the scene to ask about the situation. Brother, what are they making trouble now? What's wrong is that this woman's husband, 2 sons, and 1 daughter have all failed to come out of the dungeon. Now the next round of dungeons will start soon, and everyone has to go in. This is going to explode. There is no way to shout about that game, so we can only vent our anger on the base staff. This kind of situation is quite common these days, but this is the first time it has been so big. Passerby, who was drawn, explained with a look of surprise. They are all poor people. Just let them vent their grievances, Passerby sighed. Sutingyu was surprised. Brother, you see things so clearly, you are quite optimistic. Passerby shrugged, everyone is destined to die, whether he dies early or dies late, he will die. At this moment, Sutingyu suddenly felt that the unknown big brother in front of him had risen directly from a passerby to the height of a mountain peak. Passerby spoke again, I can understand their mood, after all, my whole family died. Sutingyu silently withdrew her thumb that was about to give a thumbs up. Then, she sighed softly and patted her elder brother on the shoulder, my condolences. Damn, I've already finished grieving. In my family, my father cheated on me, and the new baby mother was the mistress. Then, they gave birth to 3 brothers, a younger brother and a younger sister. As a result, everything was complete. The happy family all died. This, Sutingyu suddenly wanted to take back the word condolences. No matter how she looked at it, she felt that this big brother didn't need condolences very much. In fact, he seemed to be a little bit more happy than sad. Sutingyu pondered it in his mouth for a long time, and then he said, Brother, your good days are still behind you. As a human being, you have to look forward. Ha ha ha, heroes think alike, the elder brother laughed heartily. While the two were arguing, the family was finally calmed down by the staff. Faced with the sudden game and the Great Ice Age, countless families became fragmented in an instant. Many people were suppressing pain, resentment, and fear in their hearts, and once they could no longer be suppressed, they would explode. Therefore, everyone present could understand. After the matter was resolved, the onlookers dispersed, including the unknown brother. And situations like this are happening one after another in different bases and around the world. After experiencing the panic of the Great Ice Age, I suddenly entered an unfamiliar and dangerous dungeon. After a narrow escape, I finally succeeded in clearing the level, but I had to face a world that has changed greatly. Now, there is the next round of dungeons, and the time is just a little bit approaching. Many people's psychological defenses are being broken down bit by bit. Finally, it all broke out. In the base of a certain lighthouse, the beacon of freedom, people launched a riot. Let's not get into any more labor games. This must be a trick done by black-hearted capitalists. What kind of parallel paradise? It must be all done by you. The advance of the Great Ice Age and the harsh environment of the world are caused by your destruction of the environment. Don't think about blaming it on any game. In the base where the sun never sets. Parallel paradise is evidence that aliens have invaded Blue Star. They just want to enslave us Blue Star humans. All Blue Star people should unite and resist the parallel paradise. Don't enter the so-called dungeon again. The Black Tower is the product of evil in parallel paradise. Let's unite. Destroy it. In a certain kimchi base. Those who use game props are traitors. Yes. They are all traitors to Blue Star. They do not deserve to live in this world. They should die. They should pay for our dead family members, friends, lovers, and countless compatriots. This phenomenon of inciting public anger to cause riots and demonstrations has occurred all over the world. Especially in that so-called beacon of freedom and democracy, many free people even opened wooden warehouses and killed many official system personnel, causing a scene of chaos. The official system personnel had to send special forces to arrest the rioters and directly kill the leaders, but there was still no way to completely contain them. Similarly, the situation in China is not very clear. We are all just ordinary people, and they all have a limit to the pressure they can withstand. On the penultimate day before the second round of public beta dungeons was launched, that is, on the night of the 8th, the official issued an urgent order. We must use the fastest speed and the fastest efficiency to appease the people's emotions and protect the life safety of everyone. As soon as this order came out, bases across the country activated the response plans that had been deployed and began to implement them step by step. In a certain base in China, a little girl, leaning on her father, turned her head and looked outside the tent from time to time. "Dad, where is Mom? Where is Mom? Baby, be good. Mom just went somewhere to play. When she gets tired of playing, she will come back." The man suppressed his inner emotions and comforted his still young 3-year-old daughter. "Then why doesn't Mom take me and Dad to play? Doesn't Mom like me and Dad the most?" The little girl spoke innocently, and the man finally couldn't help but pick up his ignorant daughter and burst into tears. "It's Dad who's useless, it's Dad who's useless, who failed to protect Mom." Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuan-K. Chapter 973. Doo-doo. Suddenly, all the players in the broadcast room of the base were turned on, and the sweet and elegant voice of the female host came out. "Good evening, fellow citizens. Whether you are dining, chatting, or relaxing with your family and friends, or you are missing your family and friends who have not returned home, or you are feeling confused, scared, and uneasy about tomorrow, here, I sincerely request that I can use your short words to 5 minutes. Because, a compatriot who wishes to remain anonymous requested a song and wanted to give it to everyone to listen to. After the host said this, most people in the base didn't understand. How can I request a song if I'm so good? Soon, the accompaniment of the song sounded. But within a few seconds of the sound suddenly disappeared again, making everyone even more confused. At this time, in the broadcast room, the staff was busy debugging the machine. What's going on? Why did the accompaniment stop? No. The machine is damaged and needs time to adjust. When Sutingyu came to the broadcast room, she saw the noise of people inside. So, he reached out and knocked on the door. The staff looked at Sutingyu in confusion. Do you need help? Sutingyu tilted his head. Behind her was Siepwu, who was panting and coming over. Quick! Isn't the machine broken? Let her sing. She can sing. Fortunately, Siepwu had the foresight to ask Sutingyu to come to the broadcast room in advance, just in case. Quick, get the microphone. Reconnect. Within half a minute, all preparations are done. The microphones are connected to the speakers above and below the base. The accompaniment sounds. In the broadcast room, everyone held their breath and looked at Sutingyu. Sutingyu took out his conch, holding the conch in one hand and the microphone in the other. Then, following the accompaniment, he slowly opened his lips. Maybe the world is like this, and I am still on the road, and no one can tell me. Maybe I can only remain silent, with tears moistening my eyes, but I am not willing to be cowardly. Lower your head, look forward to the day, accept all the ridicule. Face the wind, embrace the rainbow, and move forward bravely. This heart-wrenching song is floating in every corner of the base. People who are eating, put down your chopsticks. The person who was walking stopped in place. The man who was crying in the corner looked up blankly. The children who were playing carefree became quiet. Currently, the light of dawn will transcend the darkness and break all fears. I can find the answer. Even if you have to go against the light, dispel the darkness, throw away all the burdens, and no longer be alone. Maybe the world is like this, and I am still on the road, and no one can tell me. Maybe I can only remain silent, with tears moistening my eyes, but I am not willing to be cowardly. Lower your head, look forward to the day, accept all the ridicule. Face the wind, embrace the rainbow, and move forward bravely. From the direct shock to the soul, to the stunned limbs, gradually, without knowing when, tears have quietly flowed across the cheeks and dripped to the ground. All the fears, grievances, and resentments in my heart were unknowingly purified bit by bit by this heavenly sound, leaving only a sense of peace. It seemed that the huge crisis in front of me was no longer worth mentioning. The light of dawn will transcend the darkness and break all fears. I can find the answer. Even if you have to go against the light, it will dispel the darkness, and 10,000 kinds of power will drown the loneliness. Not just this base, this song is played on a loop in all the bases established by the Celestial Empire. The song seemed to have a mysterious power that could make people feel stable, soothing people's emotions that were on the verge of collapse. Inside various bases, a pair of young siblings. The younger brother held the food distributed by the base in his hand and handed it to his older sister who had not eaten or drank for several days. Sister, brother, they must still be alive. Just eat something. We will definitely wait until they come back. My sister's cloudy eyes moved slightly, and she gave a stiff smile. I will eat, and we will wait for them to come back together. The tears that had been thought to have dried up once again welled up from the corners of the red eyes. A couple clinging to each other. In the game, isn't it said that there are some punishment dungeons? As long as you pass it, you can come back, right? My eldest child can come back, right? The woman babbled, as if convincing yourself and giving yourself hope. The husband wiped his face and nodded heavily. Yes, the eldest baby still has a chance to come back, and he will definitely come back. Taking advantage of this great opportunity, officials took the opportunity to announce several new regulations. First, during the Great Ice Age, all personnel inside the base must obey the central government's deployment. Please believe in the power of the central government. Second, no one should violate the law or violate morality. If found, they will be dealt with strictly in accordance with Chinese laws. Third, the use of waxia coins has been suspended, and the circulation of materials in the base has been temporarily replaced by game coins. Fourth, every citizen registered at the base can receive 2 free meals a day. Elderly people over 80 years old and children under 5 years old can receive 3 free meals a day. If more food is needed, you can use game currency to enter the mall system to exchange. Fifth, each player can voluntarily pay a deposit of 50 game coins to the central government. New players can pay a deposit of 5 game coins first. For players who have paid the deposit, if the copy fails and the game coins are not enough to pay, the central government will take over. Payment is limited to once per person per month. Sixth, the newly appeared Black Tower, the simulation room and the amplification room inside can very well improve the player's game strength. Players are asked to make effective use of it. In addition, all Black Towers in China are under central management. No one, no private organization, may possess it for any reason. 7th, 8th, 9th. All in all, there are more than 20 new regulations. However, the one that attracts the most attention is undoubtedly Article 5. The purpose of Article 5 is to hope that players will pay the guarantee fee. It's only 50 game coins, which is not a lot. The main thing is to really buy an insurance. Moreover, this is giving everyone hope. It's also a loud signal. In the face of an unknown and dangerous survival game, the country has not given up on everyone. The country is doing everything it can to protect everyone. In the basement of an apartment building, in the simple study room that had been sorted out in advance, Gucci was browsing some newly arrived documents. "Master, why don't you take a rest first and deal with it tomorrow?" Chibubi walked in from the door, holding a cup of freshly ground coffee in his hand. Gucci answered without raising his head, "There is still tomorrow, and there is not much left." "This is the coffee you asked for." Chibubi put the coffee on the table. Gucci still didn't look up. "Well, let's leave it for now." "Master, I'll leave first." Wait a minute, what did you just call me?" Gucci finally raised his head, his eyes were light and he couldn't tell what his emotion was. Chibubi's expression remained unchanged. "Master, is there any problem?" Gucci stared at him for 2 seconds, then shook his head. "It's nothing, I just haven't heard you shout like that for a long time. You can go out." "Yes, Master Ziozi." After reading about a dozen documents, Gucci picked up the coffee on the table and took a sip, then continued reading the next document. Some of these are about the recent deployment and placement of personnel, and some are about the data recently collected from the Black Tower. In addition, there are also the losses of materials in recent times, etc., which are a bit cumbersome. When Gucci finished reading the last document, he looked up and saw the clock on the wall of the study room. The hour and minute hands on it were already pointing to 0 o'clock at the same time. A new day has come. There was a simple small calendar placed on the edge of the desk, and Gucci tore off the page. When Gucci saw the new date, his expression was startled. September 9th. His eyes paused on the calendar for several seconds before he could bear to look away. At this time, Gucci felt that his mind was getting more and more dizzy, so he tidied up his desk casually, took off his glasses, lay on the table, and slowly closed his eyes. After Gucci was completely unconscious, some conversations came from outside the door. "Sir, the young master is inside and should have fallen asleep." "Oh, I see." Chibubi respectfully watched the man walk to the study, and then left with peace of mind. The rest of the time is left to them, father and son. After all, Today is the young master's birthday, so the husband must have rushed back specially. Guyan pushed open the study door and walked straight in. At a glance, he saw Gucci lying on the table. On the table, the unfinished coffee was still placed in its original place. Guyan walked over and picked up Gucci, who was already asleep. "It's too light, and I didn't eat well." Guyan's deep voice seemed to have a hint of reproach. However, the person he was blaming now couldn't even hear him. He hugged the person, walked out of the study, and then entered a room, put the person on the bed, and covered him with a quilt. After doing this, he casually sat on the edge of the bed, his eyes falling on the sleeping person's face. Suddenly, he snorted lightly. "You are really unimproved. I just ask you to guard the Gu family, but you have to make your own decisions." Guyan remembered what Chibubi had reported to him not long ago. Gucci's condition had worsened again. Guyan felt a little annoyed, but this anger was not directed at Gucci. Guyan tilted his head, and a transparent, black and white panel appeared in mid-air. Guyan took out a bracelet from the panel. This bracelet has a silver-white cold metallic light all over its body, and there is a square mirrored screen about the size of a fingernail. Guyan put the bracelet on Gu Kitty's right wrist, and the next second, the bracelet lit up with a blue light. After running for about 2 minutes, a small virtual screen was projected above the mirror of the bracelet. A value is displayed above. 26.0.0. Guyan looked at this number, his eyebrows relaxed a little, and his clenched fists relaxed a little at some point. Guyan retested 3 times. The numbers displayed 3 times are still the same as the first time. Correct. Guyan took off the bracelet and took out another strange thing. It is a shiny black stone, only the size of an egg, which can be held with one hand. It is engraved with many unfamiliar symbols and patterns. Guyan first pricked one of Gucci's fingers with a thin needle and dropped a drop of blood on the strange black stone. Later, Guyan took out a small bottle of reagent, which contains some blood. "Take a drop and drop it on the stone." Gradually, the blood seeped into the black stone. Guyan frowned tightly, watching the bright and dying blood flashing on the surface of the black stone. After waiting for 5 full minutes, the blood on the black stone was extinguished like a candle in the wind, and the entire stone darkened. Seeing this scene, Guyan's expression changed slightly. Guyan didn't believe in evil and tried several more times, but without exception, the stones turned dark. Guyan's mood, which had just improved, fell to the bottom again. What went wrong? Completely matched in terms of bone age. But the bloodline is Xiaju really not Ian's child? Guyan thought about many possibilities. Finally, he took back the stone, turned his head, and fixed his eyes on the sleeping person. Guyan's eyes became a little unclear, and he slowly stretched out his hand and landed on Gucci's face. Then, with a gentle touch, he pushed away the broken hair from his forehead. Immediately, he withdrew his hand. Guyan's expression slowly became firm. No matter what, Xiaju is a member of the Gu family. And that person must die. Guyan pondered in his heart. Is there something that can change a person's bloodline and DNA? After all, the weird illness on Xiaoju was caused by that person. At first, he believed in the DNA test. But after calming down afterwards, I gradually discovered that a lot of things were wrong. After he used a prop from another world to restore the fragmented memory of that year, he suddenly realized that he had never really been with that woman at all. That woman had lied to him all along. Therefore, it is impossible for that woman to give birth to her own child. But after so many years, overtly and covertly, the DNA tested showed that he was Guyan's seed. Guyan even imagined that his and Ian's child was not dead. He's back again. That cheating assistant was bribed by that person to take his child away. He was not able to even see his child appear in this world for the first time, which became a regret in his heart. Later, he often thought about how great it would be if Xiaju was his and Ian's child. But no matter how many DNA tests were done, the final results showed that Xiaju and Ian were not related by blood. At first, Guyan thought that someone had tampered with him. After he faked his death, he secretly tested it many times. But still the same result. If you were an ordinary person, you might have already accepted your fate. Or, I firmly believe that Xiaju is not Ian's child. But Guyan didn't believe it, he only believed in his own intuition and judgment. Lyrics taken from your answer. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 974. Guyan sat quietly in the room for a long time and thought for a long time. Until 2 o'clock in the morning. Guyan stood up, took one last look at the sleeping person, and said softly, "Happy birthday." 2 seconds later, the door opened and closed gently. Outside, Chibubi didn't rest either. Guyan called people over, and Chibubi told Gucci all the big and small things that happened during this period. Guyan sat on the sofa. After listening, he said, "Tomorrow, I will take him away for a while to treat him. You can manage the matters at hand for the time being." "Yes, Sir," Chibubi responded. "Sir, can all the young master's illnesses be cured?" Guyan, "Except for that, we have found treatment plans for the others. We will probably have to leave for a month or two. When the young master wakes up tomorrow, he still needs to test which year of memory he has lost." "Tomorrow?" Guyan thought for a few seconds and said, "Just the same as before." "Okay, Sir," Chibubi suggested. "Sir, the room has been sorted out. It's getting late now. Why don't you take a rest first?" "Yes," Guyan responded lightly, but did not take any action. Chibubi stood in front of Guyan, his eyebrows lowered and his eyes calm, as still as a pine tree. Chibubi. Guyan recalled Chibubi's full name. "Exist." Guyan stared at the person in front of him. "The content of the transaction I made with you back then has not changed, and it will not change in the future." Chibubi's eyes fluctuated a bit, and he nodded, "Understood." Then, when he was desperate, it was Guyan who took him in and gave him a chance to breathe. This cold and dangerous man, who single-handedly shakes the grey world of several continents, even if it is just a little leaked from the seams of his hands, it has helped him a lot. As for Guyan, the deal he made with Chibubi was to buy his life and let him come to the side of the only heir of the Gu family. The next day, 6 o'clock in the morning. Gucci opened his eyes and saw a white ceiling. He moved his body and realized that he was lying on the bed, not lying on the table. Gucci didn't think much about it. Chibubi must have brought him back. Gucci lay down for a while, then sat up, reached out and grabbed a handful of messy short hair, and shouted outside, "Chibubi." After shouting, Gucci turned around and looked around. He didn't find his sunglasses from last night. It seemed that he had left them in the study. Just as Gucci was about to take out a new pair of sunglasses from his inventory, the door was pushed open from the outside. "Woke up." A cold voice that was unfamiliar, but yet so familiar and engraved in my memory, came from the door. Gukairu was struck by lightning and was stunned. He turned his head and looked mechanically. The living Guyan was standing at the door. In terms of appearance alone, it was almost the same as in his memory. Decades of time seemed to have left no trace on his cold, god-level appearance. However, the whole body's demeanor is becoming more and more profound and mysterious. Guyan said again, "When you wake up, come out and have breakfast." But Gucci still couldn't come back to his senses. "What are you doing so stupidly?" Guyan frowned. Owner," Gucci blinked his eyes and suddenly realized that this was not a dream. The head of the house, is the real head of the house. The head of the family is back. Guqi quickly got up from the bed. Yes, the head of the family. Guyan glanced at him, turned around and walked out. Hurry up. After the people left, Guqi quickly put on his coat. After washing himself, he looked at himself in the mirror, took a deep breath, and walked out of the room. However, as soon as Guqi came out, he met Chibubi, who was adjusting the lights. The lighting in the room is just right now, so you don't need to wear sunglasses. When Guqi saw Chibubi, whose face looked normal, he seemed to have thought of something, and his grey cat eyes narrowed dangerously. Chibubi. Master, you're awake, come and have breakfast. Chibubi smiled on his face. Seeing this, Guqi didn't understand anything. The head of the family is not dead. Chibubi had always kept the secret from him. Last night, the head of the family came back. Guqi glared at Chibubi coldly before walking towards the dining table. Chibubi, who was stared at, smiled helplessly. There is nothing he can do. This is all the master's order. I just hope that this time, the young master will not be angry for too long. However, when he arrived at the dining table, Guqi became cautious again. Although he hasn't seen the head of the family for several years, Guqi's offer Guyan has not been consumed over time, but has deepened day by day. Sometimes, in terms of words and deeds, he even subconsciously imitates Guyan. Guqi looked at the food on the dining table. The staple food is noodles, including pastries, milk, egg tarts. It's a little different from the usual breakfast style. When Guyan saw people coming, he started to move his chopsticks. After breakfast, go to the test. Test. Guqi was stunned for a moment, then remembered what it was and nodded, yes. Today is Guqi's birthday. September 9th. It was also the birthday of Guyan's child, because when he brought Guqi back, he didn't know the specific birthday, and Chu Xinyu naturally couldn't tell him, so he simply decided to set September 9th as Guqi's birthday. Guqi just assumed that Guyan disliked his origin and existence, so he acquiesced. But Guyan had his own thoughts. After the father and son finished their breakfast in silence, Chibubi brought a well-kept notebook. It contains details about the major and minor events that Guqi has experienced in each past year. On the first page he opened, there was a table with numbers from 1 to 25 marked vertically. Some of them were marked with times, 7 in total. An accident happened when Guqi was 18 years old. After that, every time he grew older, he would lose all the memories of a certain year in the past. Until yesterday, the 25-year-old Guqi had forgotten 7 years of memories and experiences. Only 18 years of memories and experiences remain. Chibubi picked some more important things to ask. When asked about the year he turned 18, Chibubi's expression moved slightly, and then he changed his words. Master, do you still remember what happened when you were 18? It was when you entered the subsidiary company. Guqi frowned slightly. In my mind, the memory of 18 years old was completely blank, and I couldn't remember anything. Guqi shook his head. Therefore, Chibubi also wrote in times after the number 18. Just in case something unexpected happened, Chibubi asked the rest of the questions. As a result, naturally, he only lost the memory of the year when he was 18 years old. 18. Guqi fell silent. The memory I forgot was from when I was 18 years old. Chibubi's eyes changed, and he secretly looked at Guyan, who also looked complicated. At this time, Guqi also asked Chibubi, as he had done in the past few years, Chibubi, when you were 18, did anything important happen? If there is nothing important, just forget it. If so, just remember it again. This. Chibubi hesitated for a moment. Guyan glanced at Chibubi, who understood and replied in a very calm and ordinary tone, there is nothing important. The important thing should be that you, young master, successfully completed several big projects that year. Let the shareholders of the subsidiary accept the young master's control. Oh, what else? Gucci thought about it himself, but still had no memory. Chibubi shook his head. No, everything else is not very important. Back then, the young master worked in the company and rarely went out. It's not an important matter. If you forget it, just forget it. Guyan spoke at this time, and Gucci stopped asking any more questions. Yes, head of the family. In front of Guyan, Gucci was very reserved. Even when he was sitting, he was extremely honest and did not dare to be too relaxed. Get ready and come with me today, Guyan Tung knew. Let's go. Hearing this, Gucci was startled for a moment. Master, where else can we go now? The Great Ice Age Peace Parallel Paradise. Don't worry about this, I have my own plan. Yes, Gucci had no choice but to agree. Guyan's character is so resolute, and he doesn't need to explain anything. Let Chibubi take care of the things you have on hand first. I'll give you 2 hours. If anything happens, I'll deal with it as soon as possible. Yes, the head of the family. After eating breakfast, Gucci only packed a few sets of clothes and put them all in a suitcase. Master, I packed it up. Gucci pushed his luggage over to look for Guyan, but unexpectedly saw the panel that Guyan opened. Moreover, the color flashing on the panel was black, which was larger than the panel of ordinary players. Are not the same. Gucci hesitated for a moment and asked, Master, why is your panel different from that of ordinary players? This is not a player panel, of course it's different. It was Gucci, and now that it was the public beta period, Guyan had no need to hide anything. Not the player panel? What do you mean? Guyan didn't answer and asked, what is your player number? Gucci, 22. Guyan raised his hand and switched the interface of the panel, as if he had entered something. Then, Gucci received a notification on the panel here. When he opened it and took a look, he was stunned. Dear player, hello, your player account will temporarily enter maintenance due to some problems during the maintenance period. You will not be able to participate in all dungeon activities. The rest of your panel functions can still be used normally. Please be patient waiting for the repair to be completed. Master, I can't participate in the dungeon now. Gucci's intuition was that it was Guyan, but why could the latter interfere with the panel system just by raising his hand? I helped you fix a bug. It lasted for about a month or two. When you come back, the repair will be over, Guyan admitted directly. Return. What comes back? Gucci fell silent. The head of the family seems to be very familiar with some of the internal conditions of Parallel Paradise. I'll give you some time at the end. Is there anything you haven't explained clearly to Chibubi? If not, it's time to set off. Guyan glanced at him. For example, what are your own arrangements for the game? Upon hearing this, it was clear that Guyan had no obvious statement, but Gucci still felt very uncomfortable. This feeling, no matter what achievements you make outside or how powerful you are, in the eyes of elder parents, children are just children, just like playing house and never grow up. However, Gucci thought of one thing. Master, there is one thing. 5 minutes. Guyan directly gave a time. Okay, master. Gucci left his luggage, turned around and left to find Chibubi. Master. Chibubi is currently in Gucci's study. The latter is leaving, so he will take care of everything in the study. Give Qinlin and the others the things I divided up before. Are you going to give it so soon? Chibubi's eyes flashed with surprise. Master, I just asked you to go for a while and you will be back soon. Sooner or later, I will give it to them. By giving it to them, they can have more means and better survive in the dungeon. Gucci shook his head. He doesn't want to enter the dungeon anymore, and there's no use keeping those props and game coins. Moreover, it was originally prepared for Qinlin, Sutingyu, Fatty and some elite members of Xing, so that they could better prepare for the public beta of the game. Chibubi nodded, "Okay, I will share it with them later. You take the rest of the people who are being punished first. Anyway, you have been dealing with them." 5 minutes passed quickly. Gucci hesitated for a moment, made sure that nothing was missing, and then said goodbye to Chibubi. Chibubi knew very well what was under his hands. On the one hand, it is Gucci's trust. On the other hand, Gucci couldn't remember things. If he suddenly missed something, as long as Chibubi could remember it, there wouldn't be much of a problem. In the base. Boss. Early in the morning, Fatty hurriedly came to see Sutinyu and Qinchi. Lucifer, who was watching the show all night, heard the sound and could only regretfully get back into the death blade. Sutinyu was woken up. She opened her eyes drowsily, then she opened the door and put the fat man in. "Fat man, if nothing happens, I will twist you into a knot." When the fat man heard this, he subconsciously shrank his neck, but thinking about his coming, he quickly said, "Boss, have you received the message from Assistant Chi? It's on the panel." "What news?" At this time, Qin-Chi, who also lived next door and was disturbed, also came over. Sutinyu opened the panel and saw the message from Chibubi. When he clicked it open, Sutinyu's eyes widened slightly. "Why did Chibubi give me so many props? I remember that all the props I asked him to resell have been finished." Sutinyu clicked on the information of 2 or 3 props and found that these props were quite practical. And most of them are functional props, which are exactly what she likes. In addition, there is a paragraph of text. "Miss Su, I have something to do at the moment, so I can't enter the dungeon with you for the time being. These props were collected by me through the Alliance of Seeing. They are more suitable for you. Every elite member of Seeing has them. I hope these items will be available to you. Props can help you." After Sutinyu read it, he was still a little puzzled. Taking care of everything, why prepare so much? This feeling. "Boss, I'm a little scared." Fatty also received a lot of props and game currency. Now he has a lot of game currency on hand. If he works hard, he might be able to exchange it for a fantasy repair agent to repair his obesity defect. "Boss, this is a bit like the inheritance my father entrusted to me before he died. Being a bug in a survival game." Author, Kuan-Kei. Chapter 975. Fat Man. Qin-Chi frowned. Being interrupted by Qin-Chi, Fatty also realized that his description was not auspicious. He quickly slapped his lips twice and changed his words. "The boss gave us so many props and game coins because he wanted us to clear the dungeon better. And with so many props, they must have been prepared very early. Kikai, you should have one too." Sutinyu looked at Qin-Chi. "Qin-Chi, yeah. Since Guju has something to do, let's forget it. The next round of dungeons is coming soon, and I originally wanted to find him to share a car with." Although Sutinyu was curious about what Gucci was going to do, for now, she still had to deal with tonight. A copy after midnight. After 0 o'clock, the next round of dungeon channels will be opened, and by then, players from all over the world will enter the dungeon world. Yes, yes, carpooling." As soon as the fat man heard these 2 words, he immediately became more energetic. What does this mean? This meant that he, Fatty Feng, could hold his thigh again. Without Guju, Sutinyu thought of others again. "By the way, let me ask if Sister Shanyu and Xiaozu want to form a team together." Yes, yes, ask, there is strength in numbers." The fat man nodded in agreement. "Sutinyu, fat man, you ask Xiaozu, I'll ask Sister Shanyu." Sutinyu switched interfaces and clicked on the chat interface with Shanyu. "Sister Shanyu, the dungeon at midnight tonight, should we share a car?" After a few minutes, Shanyu had a reply. While Sutinyu was waiting for the news, he went to wash up. After finishing it, he clicked on Shanyu's reply. "Susu, it's not convenient for me here, so I won't go with you." Sutinyu blinked, another inconvenience? If he couldn't make an appointment, Sutinyu didn't force him. Okay, we'll make another appointment when it's more convenient. Okay, Susu. Sutinyu turned off her panel and walked out of the bathroom. Fat man, is there any reply from Little Pig? Chin-Chi and Fatty both came over and decided to have breakfast together. Yes. When the fat man looked at his face plate, the flesh on his face suddenly squeezed together. Boss, Zaizu said that he will form a team with people from his village this time so that he can lead them, so he won't be with us. That's right, that's right. Most of the people in his village are probably new players. Sutinyu came over and found a seat to sit down. It's not convenient for Sister Shanyu to be here, this time, it's just the three of us. Individual. It's strange that I can't even get an appointment. That's not bad. I haven't been with you for a long time. The fat man was quite happy. Chin-Chi, who had been silent all this time, peeled an egg open, put it in Sutinyu's bowl, and said, after breakfast, let's go to the Black Tower. The simulation room and amplification room in the Black Tower look very impressive. Fatty sighed. Fat man, you can try the single player mode in the simulation room and practice. In the amplification room of the amplification room, you can improve little by little. There is no need to rush. Chin-Chi Theo. Okay, I know, brother Chin. After the three of them finished their breakfast, they took the reserved number plates and headed to the Black Tower. That's right. Reservations are required for the Black Tower. Although the Black Tower has 50 floors available, and each floor has hundreds of simulation rooms or amplification rooms, the number is still too small to face the huge group of players. Anyone who is not a fool can see the functions and benefits of the Black Tower. Therefore, the Black Tower is now popular in everyone's eyes. If the authorities had not spoken out in time and quickly taken control of the Black Tower, bloody incidents caused by the Black Tower might have begun to occur in the country. By the time Sutinyu and the others arrived in front of the Black Tower, there were already many people here. 10 meters outside the Black Tower, official staff set up a temporary fence. Only people with reservation cards in their hands could enter. After Sutinyu and the others checked their reservation signs, the staff let them in. In the Black Tower, the simulation room is the most popular at this time. Because there are a large base of new players, and they have only participated in one instance, they do not have many personal attribute points given by the instance, so the role of the amplification room has not been fully reflected. But the simulation room is different. Even if new players today have only experienced the global school opening dungeon, it is a 7-star dungeon, which is tantamount to a hellish start for new players. Being able to enter the global school dungeon again and sum up experiences and lessons is the biggest help for current new players. Because there were too many people in the simulation room, Sutinyu and the others chose to go to the amplification room first. Only one person could enter each amplification room, so the three of them separated first. Sutinyu entered the amplification room and the panel popped up. Dear Angel Su player, welcome to the amplification room. No LX-0868L44-444. Please choose the amplification service you need. Strength, Constitution, Speed, Reaction, Spirit, Lucky. Sutinyu couldn't help but think of his touching question marks, and a doubt arose in his heart. Her personal attributes cannot be seen, and even the panel system cannot see the specific values. So can the conversion be completed? Practice brings true knowledge, so Sutinyu decided to give it a try. Sutinyu randomly clicked on power. The weak little fairy has no deterrent power, so it makes sense to add some strength, right? Please select how much increase you need. Already have strength that can be increased by the value. Oh haha. It's coming, it's coming. It comes with a familiar inside taste. This doesn't even display a value. How can Sutinyu choose the value that needs to be increased? After hesitating for a moment, Sotinyu entered a random value 10. However, when she clicked OK, Sotinyu suddenly realized. It seems that ever since I got my personal attribute points, I have focused all my attention on luck and not favored other attributes, then this shouldn't be an increase, right? Didn't I already say that it's the value obtained from the augmented game? It's just that it's too late. The panel system started working. Checking the value owned by the player. Analyzing player original values and game values. Detecting. Sotinyu stared at it closely for more than 10 seconds and breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that there is nothing abnormal. A minute passed. Detecting. 5 minutes passed. Detecting. 10 minutes passed. Detecting. Sotinyu looked confused. No. It's just a test, why does it take so long? Is it useful? The little fairy was shocked for 100 years. JPG. No matter how you look at it, it looks like the system has crashed and got stuck. Finally, after 20 minutes, the panel system was finally refreshed. Detection completed. The game value you have is? Seeing this, Sotinyu raised her eyebrows slightly. She felt so damn calm inside that she even had the illusion that this is how it should be. Since Sotinyu's power itself is a series of question marks, it is not possible to see whether it is increasing or decreasing. It can only be judged by the degree of completion of the increase. Start increasing. Amplification successful. Next, Sotinyu spent all 3 of his opportunities for growth today and almost came up with something. Because his attribute points are question marks, the panel system cannot detect the actual original value. Naturally, it cannot tell whether there is a game value. After 20 minutes of crash, the panel system simply lay down, and Sotinyu could get an increase regardless of whether he had any game values. However, it is not an unlimited increase. Because the amplification room can convert up to 100 attribute points at one time, and they must all be single attribute points. However, this bug is still very serious. This is equivalent to Sotinyu not having to do anything and getting 300 personal attribute points for free every day. It was just a test now. Sotinyu's 3 opportunities were used on strength, physique, and luck respectively. Strength increased by 10 points. Physique increased by 1 point. Luck increased by 100 points. Sotinyu felt, maybe the improvement was too small and there was no change. When the number of times was used up, Sotinyu could only leave the amplification room. However, Sotinyu was still in a very happy mood. Although you may not have an appointment time to come to the Black Tower every day, if the number of bugs continues to increase like this, you won't become a real little fairy in the end, right? Sotinyu was not very interested in the simulation room. The dungeons inside were all virtual and it was not possible to obtain props. When she first came to investigate the situation in the Black Tower, she tried to collect the props from the virtual dungeon, but there was no response. Chin-Chi and Fatty both had to go to the simulation room, so Sotinyu, who was bored, wandered around in the Black Tower. Go up layer by layer. Sotinyu had not been to the 50th floor yet, but only heard a general explanation of the situation from the 2 staff members who had been with him before. Now that you have time, let's go and take a look. With this thought in mind, Sotinyu arrived at the stairwell leading to the top on the 50th floor, but it was now blocked by a very heavy door. Fights and quarrels were not allowed inside the Black Tower. Otherwise, Sotinyu would have liked to take out the meteor stick and stab him. Sotinyu reached out and knocked on the door. Dear Angel Player, hello. The panel suddenly popped out, startling Sotinyu. What the hell? Why did you jump out? Your excellent performance in the open beta event copy has been detected. The total test score is 800. You have already turned on the light of the Black Tower watch. Do you need to turn it on? Please note that you only have one chance to open it. Please choose the black tower carefully. Sutingyu? What permissions? Sutingyu's eyes fell on the total exam score. Oh. It turns out that the points that remain unchanged in the event dungeon came here? Can you still open some permissions of the black tower? When the previous dungeon was settled, the test scores were not settled, and Sutingyu felt a little uncomfortable thinking about it. Sutingyu glanced at the contents of the panel again, hesitated, and did not choose to open it directly. This situation is not trivial, so we should go back and ask the people above first. I don't know what this black tower watching light is. Sutingyu turned around and went downstairs. After waiting for Qin-Chi and Fatty, he told the situation. The emergence of new functions in the black tower is no small matter. So, the three of them rushed back to the base as quickly as possible. Sutingyu went directly to understand Puyu. Puyu was slightly surprised when she saw Sutingyu coming to see her. What's wrong? At this time, you should be training in the black tower, right? Xiaoyu, I have a new discovery. Sutingyu told the story, and finally asked, Xiaoyu, what do you think? Puyu's expression became serious. I can't make the decision on this matter. I'll report it to the superiors first. Black Tower can now develop new functions, which is unexpected. Puyu reported the incident. Not surprisingly, it attracted great attention from above. After some negotiation, the message came from above. Open. Find a black tower nearby and open it. However, when it is turned on, everyone in the black tower must evacuate. And if Sutingyu felt something was wrong, he would immediately escape from the black tower, safety first. Sutingyu was not surprised to get this answer. Therefore, the base staff cleared the black tower as quickly as possible. Sutingyu re-entered the black tower and reached the 50th floor. This time, when he touched the door, the panel popped up. Sutingyu did not hesitate and chose to open the black tower. No LX-0868 Black Tower now opens the Black Tower Watching Light. Black Tower Watching Light User, Angel Su. The light of the Black Tower, watch over a pure land and build a worry-free home together. At this time, outside the Black Tower, the players who were inexplicably invited were both confused and angry. If the appointment opportunity I finally got was wasted like this. The staff can only do their best to calm people's emotions. Just as people outside the tower were complaining, a golden beam of light suddenly burst out from the top of the Black Tower. The beam of light soared into the sky, all the way up, as if it was going to pierce the sky. Gradually, with the light pillar as the center, little bits of golden light fell. Those golden lights formed a transparent barrier and enveloped it. Any place covered by a barrier. The ice and snow melt. The innermost earth is revealed. Everyone was shocked when they saw this scene. The ice melted. Since the advent of the Great Ice Age, every inch of land and ocean on Blue Star has turned into a world of ice and snow, and everything is dead. And now, there is actually a place where the snow has melted. This shocking news spread quickly. The Black Tower's watch light turns out to be of such use. For a time, the depressed players felt a glimmer of hope in their hearts. Now only one Black Tower has a watch light. If all Black Towers have it, then even in the Great Ice Age, humans can survive well. When Sutingyu returned to the base, he clearly felt that the atmosphere in the base was much more relaxed. In the evening, a few hours before the new round of dungeons, various lively songs were played on a loop in the base to relieve people's nervousness. Time passed bit by bit. At the last minute before 0 o'clock, someone couldn't help shouting. Some people can't help but panic. Some people hugged their relatives or lovers. Some smiled and bid farewell to their friends for the time being. There are also people who feel calmer than ever before. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Dear public beta players, the 10-day rest period has expired, and we will now start randomly matching dungeons for you. The matching is completed, and the countdown to enter the dungeon begins. 3, 2, 1. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 976. Copy, Dusk Escape. Background: you are tourists from other places, you know each other from all over the world. The reason why you came to this third-tier city where you are unfamiliar with is just because you got a letter from a mysterious person at the same time. From the moment you enter, from the very beginning, this city has been targeted by something secretly. Number of players, 8. Main mission: please survive tonight and see the sun tomorrow. Friendly reminder: being smart can lead to mistakes. Difficulty: 4 stars. Duration: 1 to H. Level reward: after clearing the level, the game currency will be settled, and there is a probability of obtaining game props and lottery opportunities. When Sutingyu's eyes became clear, the sound of cars passing by could be heard in his ears, and pedestrians were coming and going, making the noise endless. Occasionally, passers-by would cast doubtful glances at Sutingyu. Because there were people on both sides of Sutingyu and even in front of her. Among them, Sutingyu saw Qin-Chi and Fatty beside her right hand. As for the remaining people, Sutingyu silently counted them. Including her, there were 8 people in total, matching the number of players. For a moment, the 8 people looked at each other, and even the transparent panel hanging by the 8 people in mid-air seemed to be filled with a faint embarrassment. I really didn't expect that as soon as they entered the dungeon this time, all the players met directly, without even having time to close the panel. How about we find a suitable place first and then talk about our next plans, a foreign man with an upright appearance suggested. Okay, I think the small park opposite is good, Fatty agreed. The 3 of them, Sutingyu, have conducted so many rounds of dungeons. Even without prior communication, they now have a tacit agreement to pretend they don't know each other. Sutingyu was wearing a summer-style light-colored jumpsuit. She had a round head, her hair was spread out, and the ends were slightly curled, hanging down on her chest. She was carrying a small leather backpack. Other players have backpacks or small suitcases on their bodies or at their feet. I just entered the dungeon and the situation is unknown. However, from the background of the dungeon and the content of the main plot of the dungeon, it can be preliminarily determined that the players in this round of dungeons are not hostile. There are other people who are hostile to the players. In this round of dungeon, there are a total of 8 players, 6 men and 2 women. After arriving at the small park, the 8 people began to introduce themselves. People wandering on the sea. Daily fishing. Second child in grade 10,000 years. Sunshine handsome comparison. Sweetheart beauty. This time, the dungeon players that Sutingyu and the others matched were all foreigners from many countries. Fortunately, the panel had a translation function, so communication between them was not a problem. After a brief self-introduction, Sutingyu roughly understood the basic information of these people. Wandering brother is a travel enthusiast. He bought a small boat and lived on the sea. As a result, the Great Ice Age came and he was directly trapped on the frozen sea. Fortunately, his latest trip was to Green Island in the Maple Leaf Kingdom. Therefore, we prepared a lot of cold-resistant materials in advance and escaped disaster when the Ice Age came. Brother Moyu is an ordinary office worker in Kimchi country. He is older and unmarried. He looks a bit dull and honest. He has long flowing hair and looks a bit gloomy. Wanyan Lao is a high school student who has lived a good life. He has an ordinary appearance and wears high-end glasses. He claims that his academic performance is good, but he always misses the first place, so he has come up with this game nickname like a self-deprecation. The last player, a man and a woman, is an online couple who had just had sex before the Ice Age. They are from the Southeast Asian islands. After this round, it seems that they are all new players who came in just after the open beta began. However, it is not ruled out that someone pretended to be a new player and made up their personal information, because none of the three Sutinyu first revealed their identities as veteran players. They should judge others by themselves. Wandering Brother was the first to speak. Judging from the dungeon background, our current situation is very dangerous. Let's cooperate. As long as we survive 12 hours, we can leave this round of dungeons. Yes, if we get together, even if there is any danger, we can solve it. Better find a place to hide for the night. Seeing that these people were about to discuss where to hide, Sutinyu had no choice but to speak and change the topic. We each carry backpacks and luggage, why don't we look for any clues first? As soon as Sutinyu reminded them, the others seemed to have just remembered this matter and hurriedly rummaged through their backpacks and suitcases. Sutinyu also opened his small backpack and checked it. There is a change of clothes, a makeup bag, a folding umbrella, a mobile phone, a wallet. In addition, there is an envelope. Envelope. Is it the letter mentioned on the background of the copy? The seal of the envelope had been opened, and Sutinyu took out the contents. A page of letter paper and a black card. There are a few lines written on the letter paper. Beautiful Ms. Xiao, when you read this letter, please go to Donghua Avenue in Lemon City opposite Chengxin Park within 48 hours. I think you don't want the matter of secretly buying papers to happen to you. Will the school spread the word? I heard that you have won the first prize in the Youth International Science and Technology Competition. You are really young and promising. I wonder if you have told your autistic brother this news worth celebrating. After Sutinyu read the content, he could roughly analyze a few points. 1. Ms. Little Fish came to Lemon City under semi-coercion. 2. The person behind the planning of this incident is well aware of some of the ulterior secrets of Ms. Little Fish, and the side reaction is that the person behind the incident is terrifying. 3. The real character of Ms. Xiao Xiao is not very good. There was another card, and Sutinyu checked it carefully. The card is long in shape, about the size of a normal adult's hand. The main color is all black, with a gold edge on the edge to outline the outline of the card. As for the material of the card, Sutinyu couldn't tell at the moment. It didn't look like paper, plastic, or metal. It weighed about the same as ordinary playing cards. There's a strange letter in my bag. Mine too. There's a letter inside and a black card. The others searched their luggage and found the same thing. At this time, everyone's panel popped up again. Dear players, good evening, welcome to the beautiful and peaceful border town Lemon City. You are lucky enough to be the selectors of Twilight cards and have been targeted by it every once in a while. The cards will show true or false pattern information, which will be beneficial to you in Twilight. Escape longer. Please be careful when choosing, because people will die. After Sutinyu finished reading the content, he turned to look at the time. The panel showed 6 o'clock in the evening. The time limit for the dungeon is 12 hours, which is approximately until 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. However, when I first entered the dungeon, I wasted about 10 minutes. To be more precise, it was between 5:40 and 5:50. Card, the card really has a pattern, the girl couple said in surprise. Sutinyu looked down and saw that a pattern slowly appeared on the front of the black card in his hand. The pattern is somewhat abstract and the ink color is strong. The lower part of the entire pattern is dark blue with wavy lines drawn on it, and above the blue end, a hand stretches out with the palm facing up, as if it is struggling or asking for help. Blue. Could it be water? This hand represents the drowned person, that is, herself. However, the content also said that the information provided by this pattern may be false. Water may be his death or his way of survival. In just a few seconds, Sutinyu analyzed it in his mind. The couple boy suggested, let's exchange and see each other's card patterns. This will also help to pass the level better. To show his sincerity, he was the first to hand out his card. Sutinyu happened to be next to him, and on the other side was his girlfriend, so he handed it to Sutinyu directly. Sutinyu took it unceremoniously and took a look. The pattern was as abstract as it was dark. It could barely be seen that it was a road. There was a small white dot on the edge, like a street lamp. That is this a night road? In danger while walking at night? After Sutinyu read it, he returned the couple's card and then held up his own card to show the front. Cards are obviously important clues for clearing the level, so they can't be touched casually by players who don't know them. When the male couple saw what Sutinyu did, they realized that they had just handed out the card a little hastily, and their expressions suddenly became awkward. Seeing this, the others also imitated Sutinyu's approach and raised their cards. After looking around, I found that the patterns displayed by everyone were all the same scene. Could this be a scene where everyone will die? Wandering Brother once again made up his mind. It's getting late, why don't we find a hotel where we can both eat and stay? Ken. Okay. It would seem strange to just stand in the park like this, waiting for it to get darker. The 8 people had all their luggage and all had mobile phones. Through my mobile phone, I found a small hotel nearby. When we entered the hotel, it was already 6:40 in the evening. Everyone started to feel hungry, and then they started to order. Everyone ordered 2 dishes they liked, and the homeless man treated them generously. After ordering, Wanyan Lao left his seat and said he wanted to go to the toilet. Sutinyu took out his cards again and continued to study, trying to find other clues. The rest of the people are also busy with their own affairs, and Wandering Brother will warm up the mood from time to time. Soon, after the dishes were served, several people started to move. After Sutinyu finished a bowl of rice, he looked up again and suddenly saw that the seat of Wanyan's second son was still empty and no one was there, and he looked startled. Why hasn't he come back yet? Sutinyu said. When the others heard this, they all stopped what they were doing. The next second, Qin-Chi stood up first, turned and walked towards the door of the private room. Seeing this, Sutinyu and Fatty quickly followed. The rest of the people were only belatedly aware that the delicious food in front of them suddenly had no taste. They all stood up and caught up with the 3 people in front. The toilet closest to the private room is at the top of the stairs. When Qin-Chi arrived first, there was no one else passing by, and the toilet was also quiet, as if no one was there. Qin-Chi was the first to walk in. The next few people also followed. But when they saw the situation inside, their expressions changed. The originally lively high school student player now had his eyes widened and his tongue exposed, looking like he had been suffocated to death. The back of his head was hit by something heavy, and large amounts of blood spilled out, staining the floor, walls, sink, and broom of the toilet. Ah, the girl in the couple screamed, looking as if she was scared out of her wits. She held her boyfriend tightly with both hands and cried in her voice, I don't want to stay here. Smith, let's go. Let's get out of here. Don't be afraid, I'm here. The boy in the couple looked at the others apologetically, and then comforted his girlfriend. Not long after entering the dungeon, a person died, and the death was horrific and miserable. If they saw this, a normal person would be afraid and jealous. Sutinyu glanced at the others without leaving any trace. All of them looked solemn. Brother Moyu couldn't hide the fear on his face. How about, let's leave this hotel? The others were silent, but Sutinyu could tell that they all wanted to leave the hotel. But if we leave, or leave together? Let's do this. Let's run away separately and in different directions. That it can't chase them all, Wandering Brother said. In addition, our 2 teams can take care of each other. That it is going to attack the second-year-old who is alone in the 10,000 years. It is not directly taking us all together. As long as we don't want to be alone, we will not be alone. Let it find the opportunity. I agree, let's do it. Brother Moyu, who had always been reticent, became very proactive this time. The fat man beside him scratched his head, a little puzzled. Why can't we do it together? Wouldn't it be safer if there were more people together? But seeing that Sotingyu and Qin-Chi were speechless, Fatty consciously became invisible. The couple also agreed with this decision, as long as they could leave here as soon as possible. If they form a team, the couple will definitely be together, and other people won't want to form a team and eat dog food together. Brother Wandering took the initiative to invite Brother Moyu to form a team together. When his eyes passed over the weak Sotingyu and the not-so-powerful fat man, he landed on Qin-Chi and extended the invitation, "Brother, do you want to form a team together?" Hearing this, Sotingyu cried out in his heart that he was shameless. Wandering Brother was very clever and wanted to win over two strong men. If they succeeded, the remaining Sotingyu and Fatty would be like a combination of the old, the weak, the sick, and the disabled. No need, Qin-Chi refused directly. The Wandering Brother who was rejected glanced at Sotingyu and the others without leaving any trace, as if he had discovered something. He smiled and stopped forcing. "Okay, let's leave first. We are going east. Don't go in the wrong direction." After Brother Wanderer and Brother Moyo left first, the couple also left, heading south. In the end, only the three of Sotingyu were left, and a corpse on the ground that was not yet cool. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 977. The second child of Wanyan just came to use the toilet, but unexpectedly, he lost his life. At this moment, he became the first player to be eliminated in this round of dungeon, successfully getting rid of the nightmare of being the second best player in the world. In a sense, this player should be happy, right? After Sotingyu and the others carefully inspected Wanyan Lao Er's wounds, they immediately returned to the private room. But as soon as he entered the door and saw the situation inside, Sotingyu's expression changed. The fat man exclaimed, Is this a thief?" At this time, the luggage left by Sotingyu, the three of them, and the second player who was 10,000 years old were all opened and items were thrown everywhere. But the belongings of the other four people were missing. "It's not the thief, it's the four players." Qin-Chi walked over to check his belongings. Sotingyu and the three of them all kept the letter in mind. When they went to find Wanyan Lao Er, they all took the letter with them, so it was not lost. However, all valuables such as mobile phones and money in the luggage were taken away. Although I only stayed in the dungeon for one night, I still needed a place to stay and food to replenish my strength. If you are a new player, you may be sleeping on the street at this moment. Even though the fat man had a good temper, he was also a little angry. This reminded him of his experience in the two heavens of ice and fire. Why did they do this? Sotingyu said, "In this round of dungeons, there is no direct competition between players, but now that people have died, if others are going to die, do you think they want to sacrifice themselves? Or do they want us to die first? They don't dare to attack us directly because they don't know our details, but if they try to stumble us, they'd better steal our cards. Maybe we will die faster." Qin-Chi checked Wanyan Lao Er's belongings, and sure enough, all the letters and cards left inside were gone. Qin-Chi turned his head and looked at Sotingyu. "Take them all. Then what should we do now?" "Get out of here," the fat man scratched his head. Qin-Chi said, "Exchange some money first." Sotingyu echoed, "The enemy." Taking advantage of the fact that it was not completely dark yet, the three of them found the nearest gold bank, exchanged the gold bars in their inventory for the currency of this replica world, and then bought 3 new mobile phones, one for each person. If 3 people are accidentally separated, the mobile phone can be used as a communication tool. With the money, Sotingyu and the others found a hotel to stay temporarily. After the 3 of them were settled, the dungeon time was displayed as 7:35 p.m. In the hotel room, Sutingyu laid out her envelope. I remember that the card pattern of UnlimitedFlow was a mirror. There is a mirror on the wall in the bathroom. It just happened to match. The scope of this mirror is a bit large. Buildings everywhere have windows. Can windows be regarded as a kind of mirror? The fat man looked distressed. Chin-chi, the hints given by the cards are difficult to distinguish between true and false, so stay away for the time being. The pattern of Sutingyu is water, plus an arm. Chin-chi's pattern is tree, a lonely tree. The pattern of the fat man is a display cabinet, like the one in a shopping mall. Sutingyu was in a hurry to find someone in the bathroom just now, and she had forgotten that there was water in the bathroom. However, it was unclear whether this hint was a mistake or, someone had already died at that time, so it was not her turn yet. The three of them exchanged letters again. Sutingyu read the letters from Chin-chi and Fatty. They also had the same content, and these contents had some similarities. The person who sent the letter was very familiar with their privacy or secrets, and used a coercive attitude to get them to come here. And then, kill them one by one? The dungeon is only available tonight, and it will definitely not be peaceful tonight. We will live together, with one person on guard and the other two resting. We will rotate every hour, Sutingyu said. Okay, boss. At this time, on a street, two men were walking quickly. The light from the street lamp shone on the faces of the two people, and they were clearly the wandering brother and Moyo brother who had left the hotel. At this time, brother wandering was no longer cheerful and talkative as before, but instead looked worried. Zhong. Brother, are we leaving like this? Brother Moyo's eyes, covered by the current, were extremely cold at the moment, without any trace of the original gloomy inferiority complex. What else? The two are actually brothers, but their parents are from different countries, so their looks are also very different. Brother Wanderer is a new player who entered the game after the public beta, while Brother Moyo is a player in the closed beta. This time he entered the dungeon as a team. Brother Wandering hesitated, but if we rummage through their belongings, we won't be retaliated against, right? Don't worry, this dungeon is so big, and it only takes a dozen hours to get out. They are not from the same country as us, so they can't take revenge, Brother Moyo comforted. Wandering brother, do you think they are old players or new players? Brother Moyo pondered for a few seconds and then said, it's hard to judge the fat man and the little girl, but the other man should be an old player. The three of them may know each other. Maybe it's the man who will lead the newcomers. Brother, where should we go now? What else can we do? Find a place to hide. Oh. Seeing his brother being so fearful, Brother Moyo shook his head in disgust. So troublesome. If they weren't related by blood, they would have wanted nothing to do with it. Copy time, 20:59. The fat man woke up Sutingyu in a low voice, because it was the latter's turn to be on guard. Sutingyu rubbed her eyes and got up, then went down to the ground to stretch her limbs. The room has a bed for 3 people. Although it is a bit small, there is no need to squeeze into one bed. Now, more than 2 hours have passed since Wanyanlao was eliminated, but everything is calm. Sutingyu took out the card again and wanted to continue looking at it to see if he could make any new discoveries. L. Came at 9 o'clock in the evening. The card pattern in Sutingyu's hand suddenly noticed a change. The original abstract drowning scene disappeared and was replaced by a gray and black clock pattern. Sutingyu, Kikai. Fatty, Sutingyu immediately turned around and woke up Kikai, and Fatty, who was still asleep. Chin-chi heard the sound and opened his eyes. There was no trace of hazy sleep in his eyes, as if he had not slept at all. He rolled out of bed and quickly came to Sutingyu. What's wrong? Boss, what's the matter? The fat man also got up. Look at the card, the pattern has changed. Sutingyu showed his card pattern to the two of them. After hearing this, the two people immediately found their cards. Without exception, they had all changed, and they all had the same gray-black clock pattern. The three of them placed all three cards on a bed. After looking at it for a while, I noticed the difference. Sutinyu pointed to the hour and minute hands on the clock. The times are different. Yes, the three pictures have different times. The fat man also noticed it immediately. Sutinyu's time, 5 o'clock. Chin-Chi's time, 2 o'clock. Fat man's time, 3 o'clock. Because players only need to spend one night in the dungeon, the time displayed above should be at night. But what does this time mean? There will be no rest during these 3 periods of time, Chin-Chi said. Yes, Sutinyu nodded. 3 points in time. At the same time. Inside AB_U0026B. Inside the room. Couple players are cuddling each other. Smith, is it safe here? The girl asked fearfully. Don't worry. I've checked everything. It's definitely safe. Don't worry, the boy gently patted the girl's back with his hand and comforted her. At this time, the girl noticed with sharp eyes that the cards placed on the small table were a little different. This card, why did its pattern change? When the boy heard this, he quickly reached out and took the card. Ours all have the same clock pattern. What does this mean? The girl looked at hers and then at her boyfriend's. The boy stretched out his hand. Let me see yours. The girl handed over the card. Both are like clocks, but the time displayed on them is different. The boy looked at his own card. The time displayed on it was 3 a.m., while the time displayed by the girl was. Suddenly, the boy's expression changed drastically, but because he lowered his head, the girl next to him didn't notice it. Lisa, I suddenly remembered that there is something strange about this hotel, the boy said with a serious face. The girl believed it, and her expression became uneasy. What's weird? It's okay. I'll go out and take a look first. You must stay in the room. It's safe in the room. The boy pushed the girl away and quickly got out of bed. Can you not go out? I'm scared. It's okay, I'll be back soon. Wait for me 2 minutes, no, 1 minute, I'll be right back in 1 minute, the boy assured the girl. The girl hesitated for several seconds, then nodded. Then you have to come back quickly. Don't worry, you can watch TV first and wait for me. After the boy calmed the girl's emotions, he picked up his card and walked out of the room quickly. After the boy left, the girl turned on the TV as the boy said and listened to the sound on the TV. The girl's nervous mood gradually relaxed. However, as time passed bit by bit, after the girl waited for 20 minutes, there was still no sign of the boy coming back, and she couldn't help but become a little anxious. She moved her hand, just in time to touch her own card. The girl looked down and saw that the pattern on the clock seemed a little weirder the more she looked at it. And on it, the girl looked stunned for a moment, and she moved closer. Soon, she discovered that the hour and minute hands could be seen on this kind of watch. And the time above is 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. What does it mean? The girl raised her head blankly. At this time, she saw the clock hanging on the wall. The hour hand above is pointing to 9, and it is now 9:22. 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. Suddenly, the girl finally realized something and her face turned pale. Smith, are you here? Smith, where have you been? The girl shouted twice, but there was no response. The girl gritted her teeth and picked up the card. She stumbled to the door with trembling legs. After making several mental preparations, the girl opened the door, shrank her head and walked out. Smith, Smith. As he walked, he called the boy's name in a low voice. The small hotel was not big, and soon she arrived at the stairs. But when she turned her head to look at the stairs, she froze in place. The stairs made of solid wood were covered with bright red blood. On the floor under the stairs, a person's body was lying in a large shape. His eyes were wide open, and there seemed to be a bit of shock left. His already empty eyes met the girl. The next second. Ah! In the small hotel, a girl's frightened scream came out. In the hotel room. Sutinyu opened a corner of the curtain and looked outside the window. Nowadays, the dungeon time is 2300 hours, and there are still a lot of sounds of cars and people in the small city. It seems that there is nothing abnormal. Sutinyu pulled back the curtains. Because the pattern of the card has changed, the three of them can't sleep now. During this period, the three of them also communicated. The first time the card appears is at 18 o'clock. The second time was at 21 o'clock. There was an interval of 3 hours. If this rule is followed, then the third pattern of the card will appear at 0 o'clock. Boss, it's almost 0 o'clock. It would be great if we could stay here until the dungeon is over, Fatty thought very beautifully. Only. The dungeon is called Dusk Escape. We have to escape and kill. If we stay in one place all the time, what kind of escape is it? Sutinyu didn't believe that the dungeon would let them get through so easily. Qin-Chi lowered his head and kept swiping the interface with his fingertips. When Sutinyu saw this, he walked over and took a look and found that it turned out to be a picture of the death of the second 1,000-year-old sun. At that time, Qin-Chi was the last one to leave the toilet. So, are you going to take pictures? At this time, Qin-Chi suddenly zoomed in on the dead photo of the second million-year-old man and moved it directly to the latter's neck. Here. Qin-Chi knew that Sutinyu was also watching, so he pointed at the marks on the neck of the second 1,000-year-old sun with his finger. What's wrong? Sutinyu opened his eyes wide, trying to see any difference. It looked like he was caught to death by something. Sutinyu was confused. Caught? Wasn't it strangled? It's grabbing. Qin-Chi's expression was condensed. This place, and this place, are a little more protruding and deeper, like fingerprints or paw prints. It should be two hands directly closed. In order to be more vivid, Qin-Chi directly used the fat man for experiments. Fortunately, Fatty's size has shrunk a lot in the dungeon, otherwise, Qin-Chi might not be able to grasp the former's neck with both hands. So, it's a bit like. Sutinyu blinked his big eyes, catching someone to death with your hands or claws. The fat man scratched his head. Then what does this mean? It shows that this secret person, if he doesn't have a unique hobby, is actually not so strong that he has to kill someone with his own hands, Sutinyu said. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 978. What if, you really have some unique hobby and want to kill him with your own hands? Fatty said in a rare retort. Sutinyu blinked. Then Fatty, you should be able to rest assured. Why, boss? The fat man became confused. Because your neck is so thick, maybe the murderer behind the scenes can't hold your neck with both hands, Sutinyu said with a smile. When the fat man heard this, he immediately shrank his neck. When Sutinyu said this, Fatty became even more worried. Staying here all the time is not an option. We can't be so passive. Sutinyu changed the subject. The fat man touched his neck, which was still intact, and said, Big brother, do we want to go out and look for clues? But, I don't know where to look, there's not even a direction. Just when Sutinyu was about to say something, he caught a glimpse of Qin-Chi standing up and walking straight to the table where the computer was placed. Then sit down and turn on your computer. Sutinyu's eyes brightened slightly and he walked over quickly. Kikai, have you thought of it too? This copy world is a modern society with the existence of the internet, so you can easily find clues online, Qin-Chi said. The fat man also came over to watch. This round of dungeons has hinted from the beginning that players should focus on escaping instead of collecting additional information. The dungeon only lasts for 12 hours and can be passed by just sleeping. Sutinyu watched Qin-Chi searching for criminal records of recent local crimes in Lemon City. There were 3 criminals on the run inside. The first one is committing the crime of theft. The second one involved a local fight, resulting in the death of 2 people, and then absconded in fear of crime. The third one is a bit crazy, an indiscriminate murderer. The more suspicious one is the third one. The gender of this murderer is unknown. He has killed 23 people so far, including men, women and children. Moreover, no special connection has been found between these victims. It seems that they are really indiscriminate killings. There is only so little information that can be found online. Brother Chin, why don't you take a look at the dark web? Fatty reminded. The internet is divided into clearnet and darknet. Clearnet, the kind that ordinary people can access. The dark web requires some special channels to enter. On the dark web, there is a lot of information that is unknown and inconvenient to be disclosed to the public. I'll give it a try first, Chin Chi replied. The fat man came closer without taking his eyes off the screen. From time to time, he would reach out and click somewhere on the screen, here, see if you can get in here, and here, this link. After tinkering for half an hour, the two finally entered the dark web and found more detailed information about the third criminal. This criminal seems to kill people indiscriminately, but the victims all have one thing in common, that is, before they die, they will receive a letter containing a piece of letter paper and a black card. The contents of the letter were all about the victim's personal privacy, as well as some dirty things, some of which were so excessive that it even made the police officers think that death would be beneficial to society. But no matter what, under the law, killing is illegal. The victim's card shows a different pattern every 3 hours, with a total of 4 patterns. After many confirmations, it can be concluded that the first pattern is the scene of the victim's death. The second pattern is the time of death of the victim. The third pattern is the murder weapon that caused the victim's death. The fourth pattern contains information about the murderer. And whether these patterns are true or false, at least 2 of the 4 patterns provide real clues. Sutingyu picked up his card. This shouldn't be a copy prop, right? This panel doesn't even show it, so what's the principle of changing the pattern? Fatty, I can understand the first 3 patterns. They should be to intimidate the victim. However, his 4th pattern directly exposes his own information. Why is this? Sutingyu guessed, maybe it's a provocation? Is it a hobby? Anyway, the world is so big, there should be 1 or 2 perverts. It's almost midnight now, and the 3rd pattern is about to appear. The fat man quickly looked at the time. Indeed, Sutingyu placed the cards next to the computer table so that he could see the changes in the card patterns immediately. However, I am curious, how can a pattern be changed every once in a while? Kikai, have you found it on the dark web? There is a record with the police, Chin Chi said. Hearing this, Sutingyu and the other 2 turned their attention to the computer screen again. Chin Chi opened a document. Soaking in potion, different, synthesis. Sutingyu looked at the information above and felt that it was a bit eye-opening. This small card is actually made up of 4 cards, with patterns engraved on each card. The potion used in that pattern is very special. It can reveal the pattern at different times, and then achieve a feeling of foretelling of death. This method is quite capable of bluffing people. Sutingyu asked, is there any personal information of the murderer behind this? Chin Chi shook his head, not really. There have been 23 murder cases in the city all of a sudden, and people are already panicking. The specific circumstances of this case have not been made public. Otherwise, if the murderer behind the scenes specifically selects those who have done dirty things, it is very likely that it will cause social turmoil. Public goodwill. The fat man looked at Chin Chi from the left and Sutingyu from the right, and said in surprise, no matter how you look at it, it looks like an ancient chivalrous act of raping and eradicating evil, although the method is a bit cruel. Another point is that the previous victims were all locals, and our current dungeon identities are all outsiders. Is the murderer behind this not satisfied with just punishing rape and eradicating evil in this small town? He also wants world peace. Ah! As Sutinyu said this, he felt a bit out of place. Fatty, then what are we going to do now? Wait, what else can we do? Wait for the murderer behind the scenes to come and strangle you, Sutinyu shrugged. Oh no. As we talked, midnight was already here. Sutinyu looked at the three people's cards, and the patterns on them began to change again. This time, what appeared was indeed an item. The pattern of Sutinyu is rope. Chin-Chi's pattern is car. The pattern of the fat man is clothes. Is this the weapon that will kill us? The fat man's eyes widened. It seems that ropes and cars are more reliable. Ropes can strangle people, and cars can kill people, but clothes, could the clothes also strangle the neck? Or could it suffocate the person to death? At this time, Sutinyu suddenly felt that there was light outside the curtain. Why? Sutinyu walked over and opened the curtains. The sun shines through outside. Why is it dawn? Isn't it still past 0 o'clock? Sutinyu looked at the position of the sun in the sky and found that it was in the west and felt that it was already setting. This time period should be dusk. Chin-Chi added, at this time, by the way, this dungeon world seems to rise in the west and set in the west, and a day is 6 hours long. Wow, there is such a dungeon world, Fatty said. He was shocked. At this time, the three people's panels popped up. Dear Angel Su players, hello. The plan for the day lies in the dusk. Please don't waste your good time early. You have just arrived in Lemon City as a foreigner. You want to know about the local customs or specialties. You choose from left to right. Finally, you choose a hemp rope, at least 5 meters, with the characteristics of Lemon City, so you will go out to find the special items you need. Sutinyu, what kind of specialty is hemp rope? If you want her to die, just say so. Chin-Chi and Fatty also received the same panel content, but the special products were changed to cars and clothes. Good guy, here comes the trick, Sutinyu sighed. Just now I said it was impossible for them to spend this round of dungeons so comfortably, and then something went wrong on the panel. Boss, are we going out now? Sutinyu nodded, reached for his card, and put it away. Let's go and buy some specialties. Chin-Chi stood up, as if ready to go out. Knock knock. There was a knock on the door. The fat man subconsciously walked over to open the door. Who is it? Sutinyu, with quick hands and quick eyes, stopped the fat man. The fat man woke up from a dream and suddenly broke into a cold sweat. He looked at Sutinyu and the two in a daze. Just now, why did he feel like he was being pulled when he heard the knock on the door and wanted to open the door directly? The three people's eyes all fell on the door. Knock knock, knock knock. The knocks on the door still kept ringing, one after another. None of the three people made a sound, and the only sound left in their ears was the knocking on the door, as if the whole room was shaking. Gradually, the knocking on the door became more urgent. Within a few seconds, it turned into something heavy and hit the door again, making a clanging sound. Sutinyu quietly took out the falling stick. Chin-Chi held his hands empty, and the ancient bronze sword suddenly appeared. The fat man put on his turtle shell silently. Just when the three of them thought that the door could no longer withstand the blow, the knocking on the door stopped. In a rental house. Brother, what is displayed on the panel tells us to get out. Brother Wandering looked at Brother Moyo nervously. A hint of impatience flashed in Brother Moyo's eyes. Why are you panicking? I'm just looking for something. But the pattern of this card. Brother Moyo looked confident. As long as I'm here, I guarantee you'll be fine. Seeing this, Brother Wandering felt a little relieved. Knock knock. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. The homeless man who was closest to the door of the rental house stared blankly when he heard the knock on the door. He reached out to hold the door handle and said vaguely, "Who?" Brother Moyo was sluggish for 2 seconds, and suddenly he woke up. When he saw Brother Wanderer, he opened the door and his face changed drastically. "Stop!" Brother Moyo rushed over in a few steps. But it's too late. The door was opened a crack. Boom! Brother Moyo pressed his hands on the door panel. "Please wake up," Brother Moyo roared at this useless brother. After being yelled at by Brother Moyo, the originally confused wandering brother came back to his senses and looked at the former man stupidly. "Brother, brother, I..." Bang bang bang. Seeing that the door that had finally been opened was about to close again, the knocking on the door became more intense. There were heavy knocks on the door. "You're still not helping," Brother Moyo glared at his younger brother. Oh, Brother Wanderer, who had not yet understood the situation, reached out his hand and pressed on the door panel in confusion. "Openable door. It's not that easy to close. It seems that there is someone inside, and the noise outside is getting louder and louder. If you don't break in, you won't stop." Seeing this, Brother Moyo gritted his teeth and said, "Hold the door first. Use your back to block it." Brother Wanderer did as he was told. Brother Moyo freed up a hand, took out a piece of talisman paper from the inventory, and slapped it directly on the door panel. In an instant, the entire door panel seemed to be coated with a faint golden light. With a bang sound, the door of the rental house was completely closed. Before the two of them could breathe a sigh of relief, the noise outside became even louder. "It's like he's chopping down the door with a big axe." Brother Moyo immediately gave up guarding the door and ran to the window of the back room. Brother Wanderer followed closely behind. As soon as he opened the curtains, the sun shone in. Moyo had no time to care about why the sun was there. He took out another tool, destroyed the anti-theft net on the window, and then jumped out. When renting a rental house, the two deliberately chose the one on the first floor so that they could easily deal with unexpected events. Just after the two people jumped out of the window and ran away, the door of the rental house was smashed, and the talisman spontaneously ignited without fire, completely losing its effect. Brother Moyo and Brother Wanderer, who escaped, did not dare to look at what was blocking the door. He could only keep running away forward. "Brother! Brother! What are we going to do now?" Brother Moyo was upset and could only vaguely say, "Get out of here first." The two escaped from this area before stopping and resting on a chair on the roadside. "Brother, why is there the sun now? Isn't it 0 o'clock?" After being temporarily out of danger, the sun outside was unusually bright, and yet was also discovered by the two of them. Brother Moyo took out his mobile phone and the internet, so he checked online. This dungeon world only has dusk and night, only 6 hours a day. "Ah, that's strange, that's no wonder," Brother Wanderer gasped for air. He looked up at the sun in the west. When entering the dungeon first, it was also from this angle. After resting for a while, the two of them stopped staying. "Anyway, it's all out, so let's go look for specialties to complete the mission. Let's go find some specialties." "Brother, what do you think this third pattern represents?" "What the hell, we'll find out later." Neither of them mentioned returning to the rental house. In the rental house, whether it's a person or a ghost, it's best not to encounter it again.